Warrior Lore. Chapter 2368. Following which, a ray of light shot into the center of his brows. Du Xiaofu's golden eyes indifferently swept across Feng Jin, Long Qi, and the cold old man as he said, "You three evil creatures, did you think that I wouldn't be on guard against you? I knew that you had ill intentions." When this indifferent voice fell, a strange rune shot into the sky around Du Xiaofu's body. His aura surged and erupted, blooming with golden light. In an instant, the resplendent golden light formed feather-like, materialized fragments around his body. Layer by layer, they formed a set of divine and gorgeous golden armor that covered his entire body. At the same time, a pair of great golden wings appeared behind Du Xiaofu. His aura was monstrous, and it was truly connected to his flesh, blood, tendons, and bones. He was like a real human-shaped great rock that wanted to soar into the sky and cross the heavens. The fusion was perfect and flawless. The magnificent armor and the domineering golden rock wings made him look even more majestic and domineering. Screech. When the feathery armor and golden wings appeared, the screech of the golden-winged great rock pierced through the clouds and cracked rocks. An incomparably domineering aura swept through the void, causing Du Xiaofu to seem like a real human-shaped great rock that wanted to spread its wings and break through the sky. "Since you guys want to make a move after exhausting yourselves to death, I'll play with you guys." As soon as he finished speaking, golden light erupted, and Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared from the spot. "Not good. Retreat. Retreat." Feng Jin and Long Qi had a bad premonition when they saw Du Xiaofu mysteriously store Zongyuan and the other two into some kind of treasure. At this moment, they shouted loudly, and their expressions changed drastically. The three figures quickly pounced towards the people beside them. Long Qi even pounced towards Qing Long at the first possible moment. That was the strongest younger generation of the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan. There absolutely could not be any problems. However, it was already too late. Du Xiaofu's figure was too fast, completely surpassing Feng Jin, Long Qi, and the other two. He instantly arrived in front of the group. As the golden wings of the great rock flapped, his 5 fingers curled slightly, and the resplendent golden talisman runes on his fingertips seemed to want to tear through space. Energy ripples visible to the naked eye spread out from the claws. Rock Chaos Crushing Claw. At this moment, the aura on Du Xiaofu's body was like a peerless, ferocious rock. The dazzling talisman markings on his claws were like golden lightning that wreaked havoc. It was as if a golden-winged rock was about to spread its wings and fly out. The domineering and fierce aura that seeped out from the claw imprint caused everyone to tremble before they could recover from their shock. Not good. The expressions of the golden-clothed old man and the 2 early-stage Saint Beast Realm cultivators changed drastically at the same time. In their shock, they unleashed their full strength, and 3 vast auras swept out. Qila, it was too fast. Its momentum was like thunder. Golden light erupted, and countless golden lightning snakes shot out from the claws. In an incomparably domineering manner, they ruthlessly crushed the golden-clothed old man and the other 2 early-stage Saint Beast Realm cultivators. Domineering energy erupted, causing the surrounding space to surge and boil. Under everyone's gazes, the handprint and claw directly tore through a large area of space in the most powerful manner. The large area of space turned pitch black under the raging golden light. The sound of space shattering rang out, and resplendent energy ripples spread out like lightning, causing space to shatter inch by inch. Swoosh, swoosh, 5 pitch black cracks appeared. Those pure black cracks made one's scalp tingle. Damn it! The 3 early-stage Saint Beast Realm cultivators of the golden-clothed old man and the other 2 early-stage Saint Beast Realm cultivators' eyes grew bigger and bigger. The aura of death grew in their hearts. Before they could fully activate their bodies, they were torn apart and turned into a bloody mist. Ka. The 3 early-stage Saint Beast Realm cultivators were torn into pieces in an instant. There was no way for them to escape. Peft! Under the domineering energy aftermath, the surrounding domain realm demon beasts were directly sent flying. Some of the demon beasts coughed out blood. Those with lower strength were already severely injured by the aftermath of the restriction. At this moment, they could no longer resist and were killed. Watch out. Long Qi's figure appeared beside Qinglong. He grabbed Qinglong's shoulder with his hand and pulled him away. Kid, you're courting death. The cold old man and Feng Jin roared furiously. At the same time, Feng Jin's figure had already arrived. Blazing flames spread out and transformed into a blazing armor that covered his entire body. A pair of wings spread out like the wings of a phoenix. Mysterious runes rippled, and the faint cry of a phoenix could be heard. He directly set up the flame phoenix flying armor. An incomparably scorching aura swept out in an instant. He directly struck out with his palm. The flames that filled the sky carried a blazing aura that could burn space and cause one's origin spirit to wither away. They condensed into a seal with lightning speed and slammed towards Du Xiaofu. Hiss! At the same time, an energy pillar in front of the cold old man pierced through space and transformed into a terrifying lightning demon snake. Lightning wreaked havoc like a dragon's roar as it pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Oomph! Du Xiaofu's gaze raised, and he paid no attention to it. He watched as Feng Jin's palm seal floated over, and as the palm seal condensed, strands of strange and violent energy fluctuations suddenly rippled out. The energy fluctuations that seemed to have materialized instantly condensed into a multicolored and resplendent palm seal. There were the roars of dragons, tigers, birds, and turtles, and the pressure surging through the sky. The profound yellow emperor's seal slammed out. The energy on the palm seal poured out like a flood and expanded with the wind. It was accompanied by a destructive might that suddenly swept out. At the same time, Du Xiaofu swung the purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand, which he had not restrained all this time. A sword appeared in the sky and slashed at the lightning demon snake. Everything was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, the profound yellow emperor's seal and Feng Jin's palm seal collided head-on. Runes shot out and the sky rumbled. Rumble. With a muffled sound of energy, gorgeous runes shot out. Terrifying energy ripples swept out like a huge wave. Within the dazzling light, the silhouettes of the azure dragon, white tiger, phoenix, black tortoise, and black tortoise appeared. Qi La, sword light, surged into the sky as purple gold light swept out. The sword light was blazing and resplendent. Bang, bang, bang. A large area of the void was collapsing. Following that, two figures in the sky were sent flying at the same time and smashed down from the sky. Pft, pft. Feng Jin and the cold old man spat out blood as their bodies smashed into the square below. The earth shook and the mountains shook as if they could not withstand a single blow. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu's figure did not waver at all. He flapped his wings and crossed the void, appearing in front of Long Qi, who was pulling Qinglong and retreating. His entire body was covered in feathered armor, and the golden wings of the great rock spread out behind him. He was domineering and mighty. Do you think you can save him? Du Xiaofu sneered. The killing intent in his golden eyes was undisguised. Since these evil creatures wanted to attack secretly, there was no need to be polite. Brat, how dare you? Long Qi's expression changed drastically. Without any time to think, a ferocious aura swept out. The aura of a mid-stage holy beast rose to its peak and swept out. A fist mark seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning as it charged directly at Du Xiaofu. Humph! Du Xiaofu snorted and retreated instead of advancing. Under Long Qi's shocked and puzzled gaze, he allowed the fist to hit his chest. At the same time, he raised his hand as fast as lightning and slashed his sword at the stunned and trembling Qinglong. Boom! Boom! This sword strike was as if it could split a mountain. There was nothing fancy about it, but an incomparably domineering aura suddenly spread out from that sword strike, causing the space to shake violently. At such a close distance, the space where the sword passed almost collapsed, revealing traces of a vacuum. It was a simple sword strike, but it contained destruction. Bang! A muffled groan came from Du Xiaofu's chest. It was caused by Long Qi's punch, but the purple gold heavenly sword had already reached Qinglong's head. Granduncle Long Qi, save me. Qinglong's eyes were filled with shock. The aura of death grew in the depths of his beast soul and rose wildly. At this moment, the powerful and arrogant Qing Long was finally terrified and shouted at the top of his lungs. However, it was useless. At this moment, it was difficult for Long Qi to escape from this sword strike. If it was Qing Long, it might not be useful even if he gave up his life. Moreover, Long Qi was unwilling to give up his life, so he could only make a choice. Swish! At the critical moment, Long Qi waved his hand and threw Qing Long directly at Du Xiaofu's sword. His figure retreated rapidly. Swish! The pitiful Qing Long was thrown out to feed the sword by Long Qi. In an instant, his body was slashed into a bloody mist and his soul was destroyed. Long Qi retreated and managed to escape the calamity. However, he was in a sorry state. Du Xiaofu also staggered a few steps back. Long Qi's punch was not weak. The punch of the 8 Desolation demonic dragon, who was in the middle stage of the Holy Beast realm, was not weak. However, Du Xiaofu's cultivation was in the middle stage of the Holy Beast realm. With the addition of the green spirit armor and the immortal Shin body, such a punch could not cause any substantial damage to him. It only caused the blood in his body to churn. Swish, swish. As he retreated, Du Xiaofu continued to attack. He waved his hand and a green light shone from his palm. The illusory saber formation was activated. Hundreds of saber radiances broke through the air and cut through the void. They contained the numbers of the 9 palaces and yin and yang. Ah! Screams were heard. The remaining experts of the Beast Alliance who retreated in a panic had their bodies pierced through in an instant. They screamed in agony and were all killed. Brat, the 8 Desolation demonic dragon tribe will not let you off. Long Qi was furious. He could only watch helplessly as Qing Long was thrown out to save his life. This was undoubtedly more furious than watching Qing Long being killed with his own eyes. Roar. Long Qi's voice was like a dragon's roar. His body expanded. In an instant, light overflowed into the sky. His figure transformed into the true form of the 8 Desolation demonic dragon. He was like a dragon and a flood dragon. He also had the might of a dragon and a terrifying pressure. Bastard! The ground below trembled. Monstrous scarlet flames swept out like a storm. The aura of the supreme beast race spread out, bringing with it a monstrous blazing aura that shot into the sky. Coo! Coo! The cry was like the cry of a phoenix. A huge, distant flame phoenix's true form surged into the sky along with the ruins and huge rocks. It instantly flapped its wings and rose into the sky. Feng Jin transformed into his true form. His huge beast body, which was tens of thousands of feet tall, was like a cloud in the sky. Light covered the sky, and mysterious runes enveloped the void. The surroundings were like a sea of flames. An indescribable blazing pressure pressed down on the sky. Rumble, a huge, lightning demonic snake body that was not inferior to Long Qi's true form appeared. It was covered in lightning and thunder. It was ferocious and terrifying. The 3 huge demonic beasts stared at Du Xiaofu with murderous intent. They had never expected such an outcome. In the blink of an eye, that human was actually so ferocious and killed all the remaining people. 3 early-stage holy beasts and many juniors of the 3 clans were killed. How ferocious was that? Especially Long Qi. Qing Long was the future of the 8 Desolation demonic dragon race, but he could only be thrown out to feed the sword. Feng Jin knew very well that the brat's strength had increased explosively again. Back then, when he fought with him in the Beast Alliance, although that brat was abnormal, he was unable to heavily injure him with a single move. It was the same move just now. He just didn't get the upper hand last time. But now, he was heavily injured. What are you done playing? You guys don't seem to be satisfied. Du Xiaofu sneered. He did not hide the killing intent in his eyes. The remaining 3 were the real masters. Join forces and kill this brat. Long Qi shouted sinisterly. He could no longer suppress his anger. His dragon body soared into the sky and swooped down from the void. Kill. Feng Jin's killing intent was already monstrous. He gritted his teeth and roared ferociously. Red light surged out of his eyes as if 2 volcanoes were erupting. He spread his wings and covered the void as he pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Rumble. The lightning demonic snake's body did not stop. Wherever it passed, the terrifying power of lightning shattered the void and swept down with rolling lightning. A monstrous aura swept out crazily, enough to shatter everything. A cold light surged in Du Xiaofu's eyes. The golden wings on his back flapped, and the unfettered steps under his feet changed unpredictably. He drifted like a god and disappeared into the void. Evil creature. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu's indifferent voice sounded from behind the lightning demonic snake's huge body. Qi. Qi. Golden light fluctuated, and Du Xiaofu's figure had already appeared behind the lightning demonic snake. At this moment, a monstrous killing intent surged in his golden eyes. The lightning demonic snake was shocked. It quickly turned around and looked at Du Xiaofu's golden eyes. Its heart trembled for no reason, and its beast soul trembled. Holy sword roar. Qi. The sword light swept out from Du Xiaofu's purple-gold heavenly tower in an instant. Complex and mysterious sword moves finally gathered together, but it was only a simple slash. The sword light instantly spread out with the speed of lightning. A simple sword move contained the power to move mountains and seas. It was enough to shake mountains and rivers, crack mountains and crack the earth, and destroy everything. When the sword light appeared, it shone with golden light. Layers of purple gold light bloomed, and dazzling purple gold talisman patterns bloomed. Its aura was domineering and terrifying. The brilliance of the sword light poured down on the earth like a flood dragon soaring into the sky, like a rock soaring into the sky. Under the brilliance, there was a terrible destructive power hidden. In the lightning demonic snake's horrified eyes, Du Xiaofu's sword directly hit its vital point. A long ripple of space collapsed one after another, but it was silent. However, this kind of silence, with only the light flashing, was even more terrifying. In a short moment, the thunder and lightning around the lightning demonic snake were shattered. It seemed to be completely useless in front of Du Xiaofu, and was directly destroyed by the sword light. An invisible sword intent suddenly spread across the sky and tilted into the lightning demonic snake's body. This power seemed to drive the energy of heaven and earth, and the killing intent spread everywhere. At this time, the lightning demonic snake was shocked to find that the power of thunder and lightning in its body was invisible and could not flow. At the same time, a majestic sword intent poured into its body, destroying everything. It could not withstand a single blow. You've also reached the intermediate stage of the Saint Realm? The lightning demonic snake panicked, and its expression changed. It only knew from Feng and Long Qi that this kid was at the early stage of the Saint Realm, but at this moment, he was obviously at the intermediate stage of the Saint Realm. The purple gold sword light instantly split open the space and landed directly on the lightning demonic snake. Chila. Chila. In an instant, a sword light crack spread out like a spider web on the lightning demonic snake's vital point, shaking the space and causing violent ripples. Then, its body turned into a bloody mist and scattered in the air. Under the sword light, pitch-black spatial cracks appeared, and the lightning beast soul that was trying to escape was also shattered in the void. The purple gold sword light spread out, causing the surrounding space to become chaotic and shatter inch by inch. Boom. Chila. Feng Jin's attack arrived. The sea of flames surged, containing the Saint Realm's might. Endless pressure spread out, distorting the void. Roar. The dragon's roar was like thunder, shattering the void. With existences like Long Qi and Feng Jin, this was the might of an intermediate stage Saint Beast expert. Every move they made showed how terrifying an intermediate stage Saint Beast expert was. Du Xiaofu's eyes were cold. He shook his arm and used the great Pong golden wings on his back to activate the shaking heaven wings. He slapped it fiercely at Long Qi. Golden light spread out in the sky, and thunder rumbled. Amidst the domineering and unparalleled momentum, there seemed to be a faint shadow of a golden-winged Pong bird, sword breaking 10,000 miles. Boom. At the same time, Du Xiaofu faced Feng Jin. The purple gold heavenly tower slashed down. The great Pong golden wings swooped down, and the true Pong bird swayed. The sword light was like lightning as it descended from the void. This sword cut through the void, and waves of heaven and earth energy gathered. Quietly, layers of strange fluctuations appeared in the space. The purple-gold heavenly tower also lit up brightly, and layers of strange spatial fluctuations around it were invisibly connected to it. There were talisman runes interweaving with each other. Chi-La, the sword light flashed out, and mysterious talisman runes fluctuated. A silent pitch-black crack appeared in the void and instantly spread in front of Feng Jin's huge body. At this moment, Feng Jin's huge eyes were stunned. At this moment, only he knew best that this sword light was accompanied by an invisible force that had messed up the void. This kind of spatial power was not the spatial power that an ordinary Saint Stage cultivator could control, nor was it the spatial power that was affected by external forces. Instead, it was the true essence of space, the profundity of space. The sword light grew larger in his fierce eyes, and space was bound. Feng Jin's fierce eyes twitched, and shock surged out of him. How did you reach the mid-stage of the Saint Stage? The aura of death grew in his heart. Feng Jin felt the aura of death. When he fought with Du Xiaofu in the Beast Alliance, he had this thought. If this brat broke through to the mid-stage of the Saint Stage, he would not be a match for him. But now, this human had actually reached the mid-stage of the Saint Stage in such a short period of time. Swish! The sword light tore through the air and appeared as if it had sliced the void in half. A pitch-black spatial crack appeared in the void and appeared in the sky. Chilala, an abyss quietly appeared below. Feng Jin's huge body was cut in half from the middle. A rain of blood poured down, and his bones fell. Rumble, rumble. Wind and thunder resounded from the side. Du Xiaofu's sky-shaking wings and Long Qi's main body had already collided, causing the void to explode and the talisman runes to erupt. Chilala. Long Qi's main body was directly sent flying. Blood flowed from his body, and his dragon scales cracked and shattered. His gaze was filled with shock and horror. When he stabilized his body, Long Qi soared into the sky. His aura was much weaker, and his fierce dragon eyes stared straight at Du Xiaofu. His gaze was filled with shock and horror. He had never thought that this human's strength would soar again in such a short period of time and step into the mid-stage of the Saint Stage. Brat, the Beast Alliance won't let you off. Long Qi's fierce eyes were sharp as he stared at Du Xiaofu. Blood flowed endlessly from his body. It was a tragic sight. You guys don't seem to be able to represent the entire Beast Alliance. No one will know even if I kill you now. Moreover, you guys were the ones who attacked first, Du Xiaofu said. He held the purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand and flapped the golden wings on his back. He was like a humanoid true rock. If you don't kill me, that ancient expert must have an inheritance on him. I'll also give you the ancient sacred artifact. How about I give it to you? Long Qi looked at Du Xiaofu and said, but his eyes were secretly darting around. Killing you seems to be all mine. Du Xiaofu was unmoved. If he let Long Qi go, it would only be harmful. Moreover, he did not intend to let him go. He did not have time to set up the blood soul seal on Feng Jin and the enlightening demonic snake, so Long Qi had a chance. Human, why do we have to suffer? You won't get any benefits even if I die, right? At most, we'll both suffer. Long Qi gritted his teeth. Indeed, he was no match for this human, but he could still self-destruct his beast soul. He did not believe that this human would not be afraid. Do you want to self-destruct? It won't hurt me. You can try. The corners of Du Xiaofu's mouth curled into a smile. At Long Qi's cultivation level, the self-destruction of his beast soul was indeed different. Just now, he was afraid that Feng Jin and the enlightening demonic snake would self-destruct, so he launched a fierce attack and did not give them a chance to self-destruct at all. However, even if he could not set up the blood soul seal to make Long Qi self-destruct, Du Xiaofu did not intend to leave Long Qi alive. As for Long Qi's self-destruction, Du Xiaofu did not have it. He was confident that he had the ability to protect himself. However, Long Qi's expression darkened when he heard Du Xiaofu's words. It seemed that this human did not intend to let him go. Then, a cold smile appeared on Long Qi's face. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, Brat, you did have a chance to kill me just now, but now, you missed it. Hee hee. This guy is stalling for time. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and his expression darkened. Ha 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 ha, brat, you're dead meat? You're definitely dead meat. Suddenly, Long Qi sneered. It was like a dragon's roar that resounded through the void. Not good. There are more experts coming. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's expression changed drastically. Under the power of his primordial spirit, he felt a powerful aura rapidly approaching. Swish! Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu pounced towards the ancient expert's corpse and the black sword. Compared to Long Qi's life, this was undoubtedly more important to Du Xiaofu. Brat, you're courting death. Long Qi did not expect that brat to still be thinking about the treasure at this time. Although he knew that he was no match for him, he would definitely not allow the treasure to be snatched away by that brat. Moreover, he already knew that the experts of his clan were already on the way and would arrive soon. Chapter 2369. Roar. Long Qi made his move. Light flooded the sky as the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon's shadow rushed out and swept towards Du Xiaofu's back. Du Xiaofu did not turn back. The golden wings on his back flapped as the golden light surged and swept towards the dragon's shadow. Boom! Boom! When the two collided, the space around the dragon's shadow immediately shattered. A frightening energy storm immediately swept out like a hurricane. The runes shattered. However, when the frightening force and the shattered rune storm spread to a certain range, they instantly came to a halt and were completely annihilated without a sound. Chila! Chila! In the monstrous energy, Long Qi was once again affected. His dragon body was directly pushed back. His eyes were filled with shock, as if he did not expect this human to be so strong. Roar! Chila! As the dragon body was pushed back, Long Qi's bloody body exploded with light. As the dragon's aura spread, the space trembled. The aura on his body had been released to the extreme. An incomparably ferocious gaze shrouded Du Xiaofu's body. The huge dragon body descended from the sky like lightning. Its bloody mouth was accompanied by a dragon's breath that covered the sky and earth. It directly swept towards Du Xiaofu, causing the space along the way to quickly crack open. Chila! Du Xiaofu had already reached the ground. With a wave of his hand, he swept out and swept the ancient expert's remains and the black sacred weapon into his chinkuan bag. He did not have time to retract the ancient dragon body. The attack from behind had already arrived. He did not dare to be careless. He turned around and shot out a murderous intent. His hands began to form strange seals, outlining mysterious arcs. As the seals formed, a strange, mysterious rune suddenly burst out from his eyes. In the next moment, the mysterious rune spread out. The light in front of the space rippled, causing the entire space to shake for no reason. It contained a majestic primordial spirit power and enveloped Long Qi. Long Qi's body swooped down. Suddenly, his eyes were blinded. His beast soul was suddenly hit by a huge impact, causing his beast soul to tremble. Accompanying it was a huge impact. Primordial spirit attack. Not good. Long Qi was shocked. An all-pervasive essence soul attack came from within the beast soul. He had seen this human use such an attack on Fengjin when he was in the Beast Alliance. It was very terrifying. Chi-la-la. Azure light rippled as thousands of blade lights suddenly pressed over from all directions. They immediately tore through Long Qi's tough body, causing his body to crack. Blood flowed out as an all-pervasive soul attack surged into his head. This was Du Xiaofu's Sumaru Illusory Realm and Illusory Saber Formation. With the terrifying increase in the strength of his primordial spirit, the might of the Sumaru Illusory Realm and Illusory Saber Formation had also reached a new level. This was an attack based on the primordial spirit. Bastard! Stop! Stop! Suddenly, at this moment, a shout came from the distant sky. The sound waves were like the roar of a dragon, rapidly resounding in the sky. Kill. Du Xiaofu had already sensed the incoming aura. He formed a hand seal, and the illusory saber formation erupted. Immediately after, the sound of something breaking through the air resounded in the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh. The illusionary saber formation exploded in an instant, and a circle of pitch-black spatial cracks spread everywhere. A terrifying energy storm swept out in all directions in an instant. The terrifying aura of the primordial spirit mixed with the raging saber light spread and wreaked havoc in the sky. It was as if an arc of light had enveloped it, causing spatial ripples to sweep out. At the same time, Long Qi let out a miserable cry. His huge dragon body was directly turned into a bloody mist and scattered in the air with a rain of blood. Even his beast soul could not escape and was shattered by the saber formation. You killed a disciple of my 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan. I will skin you alive and grind your bones to dust. A loud shout filled with killing intent sounded like a dragon's roar. When it sounded again, a resplendent figure was already in the sky. Boom! The space in this area suddenly trembled, as though it was about to solidify. A green-clothed elder appeared. His eyes were filled with a ferocious hatred. It was as though 2 dragon phantoms were about to soar into the sky. A resplendent energy pillar immediately rushed towards Du Xiaofu. Ayo! Ayo! This speed was too fast. The energy pillar instantly transformed into a dragon phantom. It was like a resplendent thunderbolt as it directly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, shaking the space. Qila, Du Xiaofu's figure immediately shattered. However, it did not cause the slightest trace of blood. His figure dissipated along with the spatial ripples. Rumble. Ayo. Instead, the space where Du Xiaofu was just a moment ago revealed a huge, deep spatial hole under the attack of the dragon phantom. Afterimage. Ayo. The green-clothed elder instantly appeared in this space. He was wearing a long green robe and his figure was tall. However, he appeared a little shriveled. His head was a little sharp and his eyes were resplendent. However, he was incomparably gloomy. He stared at Du Xiaofu's figure, which was disappearing in front of him, as his killing intent became increasingly dense. Soon after, the elder's eyes quietly twitched when he saw the huge dragon corpse on the square. This was a true dragon corpse left behind by an elite ancient dragons. Du Xiaofu's figure appeared. He stared at the green-clothed elder in front of him with a grave expression. From the vast and mighty aura fluctuation on his body, it was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to guess that this elite from the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan, who had suddenly appeared, was far more powerful than Lei Yang. You must be the legendary human. You must die today. Kill. The green-clothed skinny elder stared at Du Xiaofu. His face instantly turned ashen and gloomy. His eyes were filled with resentment. So many elites and juniors from his clan had been killed, including Qing Long. How could he not be furious? They attacked first. What does it have to do with me? If you want to attack, I will definitely uproot your entire 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan. Du Xiaofu said coldly. However, he was also very fearful. TSK. Little human, how dare you speak such arrogant words? The green-clothed elder's shriveled figure let out a loud roar. At this moment, his aura surged out in all directions and enveloped the entire space. He might be the strongest elite from the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan. Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. At this moment, the aura on this elder's body gave Du Xiaofu a feeling that he might not be any weaker than the Yu clan's imperial ancestor. With such strength, he was definitely an expert. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's expression was somewhat solemn. This person was much stronger than Lei Yang. Back then, when he fought with Lei Yang, Du Xiaofu did not use his full strength and did not use the Scarlet Horse Monkey's primordial spirit. However, Du Xiaofu was now frowning. The Scarlet Horse Monkey's soul had swallowed the distant Flame Phoenix's soul and was still in the process of refining it. That vast energy couldn't be refined in a short period of time. At this moment, he still couldn't use it. If there was a problem, his primordial spirit would be in big trouble. At this moment, Du Xiaofu knew that with the strength of his physical body, he wouldn't be able to deal with Lei Yang. How could he deal with this green-clothed elder in front of him? Brat, no matter who you are, I will definitely grind your bones to dust today. Long Heng's murderous gaze locked onto Du Xiaofu's body. Unfathomable, too strong. Although the immemorial dragon's body was a treasure, Du Xiaofu was very smart. He had already gained something from it. Knowing that he was no match for Long Hong, the best strategy was to escape. Fighting with him wouldn't bring him any benefits. If he attracted other experts, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he wanted to. Swish! The great Peng wings on his back flapped, creating a crack in the void. Du Xiaofu didn't stop and wanted to leave immediately. You want to leave? I'm afraid you won't be able to. Long Hong was the first to notice such a commotion. His face darkened, and after a cold shout, he waved his sleeve. A vast and resplendent energy pierced through the void and engulfed Du Xiaofu. A formless void energy also affected the space around Du Xiaofu, causing the crack in the void to slowly close. Du Xiaofu's expression changed. He didn't expect this elder from the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon tribe to be so powerful. He couldn't escape in time and could only flap his wings to avoid the attack. Swish! The energy pierced through the void in front of his neck. The sharp wind caused the feather armor on his ear to shatter into pieces, causing him to feel waves of pain. Old worm, I gave you face, but you don't want it. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Du Xiaofu stepped into the void. Golden light filled the air, and the purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand was filled with the sound of wind and thunder. Long Hong was stunned when he heard Du Xiaofu's words. As expected, you're a reckless human. You're only at the mid-sage realm. Although you have some skills, it's definitely not enough in front of me. Fine, I'll let everyone see with their own eyes whether I, Long Hong, am qualified to grind your bones to dust. Haha. Long Hong laughed loudly. His laughter was like thunder, but it was incomparably gloomy. Everyone could hear the anger in his laughter. He had come out of seclusion this time to uncover the greatest secret of the Heaven Burial Wasteland. However, it was already too late when he received Long Chi's call for help. The 8 Desolation Demon Dragon tribe had suffered a great loss. The tribe had never suffered such a great loss before. Now, this mid-sage realm brat didn't even put him in his eyes. He was already extremely infuriated by Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's eyes were filled with coldness as he stared at the gloomy Long Hong. A faint murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Since it was difficult to escape, he could only take one step at a time and slowly think of a way to escape. Of course, Du Xiaofu wasn't arrogant enough to think that he could really fight against Long Hong. Long Hong was too strong. His strength was unfathomable. Du Xiaofu's face turned solemn. However, it wasn't that he couldn't escape. He knew that he would have to put his life on the line today. Only by putting his life on the line would he have a chance to escape. Die! Die! In a short instant, Long Heng's withered and slender body appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Without any hesitation, a cold shout was emitted from his mouth. With a wave of his green long sleeves, a majestic aura immediately swept out. A huge claw directly grabbed at Du Xiaofu from within his long sleeves. Roar! The mysterious runes in the claw shone brightly. It was as if a flood dragon was rushing out. Its power was terrifying. Oomph! Oomph! Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and snorted. Golden light emerged from the soles of his feet. His figure quickly drifted back and the claw brushed past his shoulder again. In terms of speed, Du Xiaofu wasn't slow. The speed of the golden-winged Great Peng race and the wave-treading carefree steps complemented each other. Moreover, Du Xiaofu had also comprehended the space mystery from the space-splitting 3 swords. It was like adding wings to a tiger. Seeing Du Xiaofu dodge his attacks again and again, Long Heng's expression changed again and again. However, with his cultivation, he could imprison everything with a single move. His speed was also as fast as lightning. It seemed that he was already prepared. After his attack missed, his figure suddenly flashed and appeared directly above Du Xiaofu's head like a ghost. The claw wrapped in the flood dragon's shadow stretched out again. The claw instantly tore 5 terrifying spatial cracks and aimed at Du Xiaofu's head in an extremely tricky and ruthless manner. Blood Soul Seal. Oomph! In this flash of lightning, Du Xiaofu's hand suddenly formed a strange seal. A supreme aura spread out and covered his palm with a mysterious seal. It was like the shadow of a golden-winged Great Peng. Its entire body was golden and resplendent, with silver-yellow electric arcs. A monstrous aura spread out from it, accompanied by flashes of lightning and roars of thunder. The silver-yellow electric arcs suddenly erupted. Roar! Roar! All of a sudden, the roar of a dragon, a tiger, and the roar of a lion came from Du Xiaofu's palm. It was accompanied by a terrifying aura that caused the surrounding space to rumble and tremble. This monstrous aura descended, containing a kind of aura that 10,000 beasts couldn't resist. This kind of aura came from the souls of 10,000 beasts, from their bloodlines. It was as if the strongest of the beasts had descended, wanting to make 10,000 beasts submit and unable to resist. This terrifying aura suddenly burst out. What kind of strange martial technique is this? Oomph! Long Heng's expression became a lot more astonished when he felt this enormous aura. That kind of aura was actually suppressing him without him even noticing it. In just an instant, the blood soul seal was like a fierce tiger hunting for its prey. With a loud roar, it ruthlessly smashed into Long Heng's claw. Rumble, rumble. When the two forces collided, the void rumbled. Long Heng's claw tore through the void, and Du Xiaofu's blood soul seal dissipated. However, Long Hong was also greatly affected. Du Xiaofu's blood soul seal was originally used to control demonic beasts, but it also had the effect of killing demonic beasts. Moreover, it had an absolute suppressive effect on demonic beasts. At the same time, it attacked the demonic beast's beast soul. When using the blood soul seal to control demonic beasts, Du Xiaofu still had to be careful. If he wasn't careful, he would hurt the demonic beast's beast soul. At that time, controlling the demonic beast wouldn't have much effect in the future. But when using the blood soul seal to deal with demonic beasts, Du Xiaofu didn't have to worry too much. He could fully use it. Bam bam. But even though the blood soul seal affected Long Hong, Du Xiaofu still staggered back. The void behind him was also shattered. The blue spirit armor alternated between light and dark. A muffled groan came from his throat, and faint golden blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. After knocking back Du Xiaofu with one move, Long Hong was still surprised. This human kid is too strange. Strange kid. I can't let him go. Long Hong naturally had his reasons for being able to reach this level. If he let this kid escape today, there would be endless trouble in the future. Without the slightest delay, his figure pounced again and directly punched out. I can only go all out. Go. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth and quietly formed a hand seal. As the hand seal condensed, the purple lightning talisman on his body swept out. The lightning martial vein covered his whole body in an instant. Lightning intertwined, thunder clouds spread out, and the heaven and earth phenomenon spread, making the space boil and the mountains shake. This kind of aura made Long Heng's figure stagnate. In his stunned gaze, the real rock-like young man's body was filled with an ancient and terrifying aura. The power was shocking. Lightning was entwined, and the golden light was boundless, like a holy sight. The golden light was boundless. At this moment, the lightning martial vein covered Du Xiaofu's body. A tyrannical, murderous aura rippled in the sky. An aura that made people's soul palpitate filled the sky, and a majestic supreme pressure spread across the sky. What kind of martial vein is this? Long Hong was shocked. He had never seen such a martial vein. At this moment, Du Xiaofu didn't stop. The hand seals in his hand were already flying, and the afterimages changed, making the surrounding space almost solidified. Mad Dragon Ninth Heaven. Boom. A golden light burst out and rushed into the sky. Under the speed of lightning, it condensed into 9 giant dragon shadows. Roar, 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 roar. 9 huge dragons roared, and the dragon's roar reached the 9 heavens. What Du Xiaofu used was the 9 heavens of the Berserk Dragon of the Universe Dragon Tiger technique, which could increase his strength by a lot in a short period of time. The Mad Dragon Ninth Heaven was essential for escaping. It was a trump card to tyrannize people with the same level of cultivation. Although at Du Xiaofu's level of cultivation, the effect of the Mad Dragon Ninth Heaven was not great, but it was better than nothing. 9 giant dragons appeared, and instantly turned into 9 energy ribbons, like thunder falling into Du Xiaofu's body. Boom, boom. The aura on Du Xiaofu's body had obviously increased a lot under the power of the 9 dragons, but it was not as terrifying as before. Long Heng was more and more surprised. This human seemed to have endless methods. Du Xiaofu was still standing in the air and had no intention of stopping. His body fluctuated with radiance, and with a thought, ancient runes rippled around his body. Then, with him as the center, the 8 trigrams appeared in the air, enveloping his body. The 8 trigrams mysteries were activated. Qin, Kuren, Zhen, Sun, Kan, Li Jin, Dui. The 8 directions connected with each other, turning into a resplendent divine ring, making Du Xiaofu seem like a divine spirit in the sky. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's azure spirit armor was covered with purple arcs of electricity, revealing a purple-gold color. Coupled with the 8 trigrams divine ring around him, the invisible aura made people tremble in fear. What a strange pressure! At this moment, Long Heng couldn't help but change color. He felt that the aura that emanated from the tall and straight-armored young man was different from the others. The light was brilliant, and the pressure was quietly released between heaven and earth. This kind of pressure was like the water in the sea, able to bear everything. When the wind was calm and the waves were calm, it made people yearn for it. The heart was vast, and it could nourish all things. But if it was a violent storm, it would raise stormy waves and destroy everything. Long Heng also clearly felt the aura of the incomparably domineering golden rock, as well as the aura of thunder that could kill the heavens and earth. This complicated aura made Long Heng feel uneasy for no reason. Although this uneasiness only lasted for a moment, it was enough to make Long Heng's face change color and his heart become alarmed. At his level of cultivation, he could more or less pry into the mysteries of heaven. This kind of uneasiness made him afraid. This kid is too mysterious and strange. I can't let him live. Long Heng's eyes were already filled with undisguised killing intent. His figure was like lightning as he charged towards Du Xiaofu. Come. Purple gold lightning shot out from Du Xiaofu's eyes as he formed hand seals. The 8 trigrams could connect heaven and earth, containing all things, just like a small world. Kill. Kill. Long Heng didn't want to waste any more time. This kid must die. He couldn't let him live. Killing intent surged in an instant. It was as if a flood dragon was soaring into the sky from the depths of his eyes. Some runes appeared on the green robes on his body, and his aura began to flourish. Boom! Long Heng's body dashed forward, his dragon's might rolling around his body. It was as if an illusory image of the 8 desolation demon dragon was coiled around his body as it swept towards Du Xiaofu. That ferocious and terrifying aura whizzed out, capable of destroying everything in its path. Roar! A dragon's roar could be faintly heard. Wherever Long Heng's figure passed, the surrounding void would shatter and collapse, and the entire abyss would tremble violently. Roar! Du Xiaofu's face was serious as he formed hand seals. The 8 trigrams were filled with the cries of thousands of beasts, lightning descending, a golden rock flapping its wings, and the evolution of mountains and lakes. Wind, rain, thunder, and lightning alternated. The sun, moon, and stars changed, and mountains and rivers moved horizontally. When the 8 trigrams changed, a pressure enveloped the surroundings, causing the dragon shadow around Long Heng to suddenly dim. Long Heng couldn't help but be surprised. When he raised his eyes, the mysterious runes in his resplendent eyes blazed. The gaze in his eyes trembled as if the shadow of a dragon was rushing out. The void shattered, and the shadow of the 8 desolation demon dragon around him shone brightly again. Du Xiaofu stood in the middle of the 8 trigrams with a solemn expression. It was as if a divine spirit was in the sky. Hand seals were constantly forming, and the 8 trigrams were changing, deducing, and deriving. At the same time, Du Xiaofu also murmured something. Upper Kuan and Lower Li, earthly fire bright E-breaks. Upper Qin and Lower Dui, heavenly blessing trigrams breaks. Upper Qin and Lower Li, heavenly fire dual man breaks. As Du Xiaofu's strange hand seals formed one after another, the 8 trigrams underwent a myriad of changes, and a vast pressure was revealed from the void. Rumble! Suddenly, lightning and stars appeared in the void between heaven and earth. Rolling flames burned, and mountains and rivers moved. The void shattered, and a destructive aura shrouded this part of heaven and earth. The entire void between heaven and earth seemed to be affected at this moment. The earth quaked, the mountains shook, and the heaven and earth resonated. The resplendent runes were like the sea, and stormy waves were surging. Under this terrifying force of heaven and earth, the shadow of the 8 desolation demon dragon around Long Hong began to dim again, and cracks began to appear. Heaven above and earth tremors, heavenly thunder breaks. Boom! Du Xiaofu's hand seals were still changing, and the 8 trigrams void diagram was once again surging with waves. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and heavenly thunder rumbled. Runes intertwined with each other, crossing the universe. Crack, crack, finally, the shadow of the 8 desolation demon dragon around Long Hong began to crack, and the mysterious runes began to crack. The void around him began to crumble inch by inch and was annihilated. Long Heng's expression changed more and more, and his expression turned completely serious. Dragon shakes the 8 desolation. Boom! Long Heng made his move. The shadow of the 8 desolation demon dragon rushed out again, crossing the void. The mysterious runes on the runes shone brightly as it pierced through the 8 trigrams void diagram and rushed towards Du Xiaofu. The shadow of the dragon turned the void into a pitch-black void. The dragon shadow was incomparably dazzling and suddenly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Its aura surged and poured out in torrents and was incomparably vast. Bam, 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 bam. The frightening power swept out, and the void within the void 8 trigrams that Du Xiaofu had condensed exploded. The void was crumbling. Chapter 2370. Creech. Screech. Du Xiaofu condensed the supreme beast energy of the golden-winged rock race and merged it with the lightning martial vein. His aura changed abruptly. Amidst the thunder and lightning in the void, his aura was incomparably domineering. The aura of execution suddenly swept out. A huge purple-gold thunder rock appeared behind him to fight against the former. The purple-gold thunder rock and the 8 desolation demonic dragon phantom collided in an instant. Amidst the rumbling sound of space shattering, energy runes swept out like waves, drowning the void. Du Xiaofu's body was enveloped in the purple-gold thunder rock. His eyes were like purple suns as he flapped his wings and soared into the sky. With the support of the 8 trigrams and the support of the 8 trigrams, the void rumbled like thunder. This was Du Xiaofu's all-out attack. The blazing golden light and the purple-gold lightning drowned the void. This was a bloody fight. Du Xiaofu was going all out. Rumble. The sky was filled with broken runes. The huge purple-gold thunder rock's body exploded within the 8 trigrams. A large area of the void collapsed, revealing pitch-black spatial cracks that spread out like a spider web above the void. Du Xiaofu spat out golden blood from his mouth. It condensed and did not dissipate. Chilala, Du Xiaofu's body was sent flying. The blue spirit armor on his body dimmed and shattered. Traces of blood seeped out and flowed. He finally could not help but spit out a large mouthful of blood into the sky. Du Xiaofu stabilized his body with the golden rock wings on his back. The 8 trigrams around him dimmed. Long Heng's figure also staggered back 2 steps. Although it was only 2 steps, it was enough to make Long Hong completely shocked. A human in the middle stage of the Sage Realm, who seemed to have just broken through to the middle stage of the Sage Realm not long ago, had such terrifying combat strength. He was even able to push him back. If this news were to spread, how shocking would it be? Human, you will definitely die today. Long Heng's eyes were gloomy. This human was too strange. He did not want to waste any more time and could not give this human any more chances. As his voice fell, a bright energy burst out from his hand again. Rumble. The terrifying energy caused the space to vibrate and emit muffled sounds. In an instant, a huge palm print appeared. The palm print carried a vast amount of energy. It whizzed down and covered half of the space. The collapsed space made cracking sounds and enveloped Du Xiaofu as well. It was obvious that Long Hong wasn't holding anything back this time. Du Xiaofu's expression changed, but there was no fear on his face. With a shake of his arm, the image of the 8 trigrams gushed out from his palm and rapidly expanded. Ancient runes flew out and appeared in the void like a screen of light. The moment the 2 palm prints and the 2 forces collided, the space exploded with a shocking sonic boom. Bang bang. Without much movement, Du Xiaofu's body fell directly from the void. The feather armor on his palm was broken, and blood spurted out. The blue spirit armor on his body was broken, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Like a meteorite, he smashed into the ground below, causing rocks to fly into the sky and the earth to shake. Long Hung didn't stop. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. A stream of energy came crashing down like a bolt of lightning. Crackle! A purple-gold sword ray instantly shot out from the rubble on the ground. Mysterious talisman runes fluctuated, and a silent pitch-black crack appeared in the void. It was accompanied by an invisible force that disrupted the void, and it instantly blocked the path of the energy stream. Crackle! The sword light was strange and mysterious. It was powerful enough to kill a mid-stage holy beast, but it couldn't stop Long Heng's attack. It was destroyed in an instant. A pitch-black spatial crack appeared in the void, and the earth shook violently. Kid, you want to run? Dream on. Suddenly, Long Hung seemed to have sensed something. Blazing runes swept across the sky and imprisoned the entire space. This kind of imprisonment sealed the sky and earth. There was no way to escape. Bastard, what's going on? Long Heng's expression changed. His eyes turned cold. His figure turned into a bolt of lightning and burrowed into the rubble that Du Xiaofu had just crashed into. The surrounding space gradually calmed down, leaving only the invisible pressure emanating from the massive corpse of the primordial dragon tribe powerhouse. This kind of shocking battle lasted for a long time. It was so shocking that it attracted the attention of other experts. Swoosh swoosh, several figures appeared in the void. When they saw the enormous dragon corpse in front of the enormous palace, their expressions changed drastically. An expert of the primordial dragons, someone exclaimed. There was definitely an inheritance in this dragon corpse. It might even be able to refine the blood essence of a true dragon. This was a huge opportunity. Rumble, the earth shook and the mountains shook. Rubble shot up into the sky. Long Heng's figure rushed out. His face was extremely gloomy and his old face was ashen. Do you think you can get your hands on the treasures of the primordial dragons? You're courting death. Long Hung shouted coldly. He waved his hand and shattered the void. Before the experts could react, they were sent flying. A few of them turned into a bloody mist. They were humans. There were also a few figures who were only injured. They were demon beast experts. I'll spare your lives this time. Find this human for me. Otherwise, I'll take your lives at any time. The 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan will reward anyone who finds this human. As soon as he finished speaking, Long Hung formed a seal with his hands. Mysterious runes appeared in the void in front of him. A strange phenomenon appeared, and a powerful aura filled the air. Then, a human figure appeared in the void. It looked like Du Xiaofu. He was wearing a blue spirit armor and had a pair of golden wings. He looked majestic and domineering. Whoosh! Long Heng's hand seals changed, and several rays of light shot out. Those were several scrolls, and Du Xiaofu's figure was engraved within them. Even though they were separated by the scrolls, Du Xiaofu still exuded a domineering aura. This was a technique of the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan. It was very strange, but it had a wonderful effect. Long Hong was using it to imitate Du Xiaofu. Once you find this human, tear these scrolls to shreds. I will know your whereabouts. At the same time, spread the news that whoever finds this human will be rewarded. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Long Heng's voice was cold. He threw the scrolls in front of the demon beast experts. Yes, my lord. The demon beast experts didn't dare to stay any longer after escaping death. They immediately left in a hurry. Kid, you can't escape. Long Hung looked up, his eyes cold to the extreme. He hadn't thought that the brat would be able to escape right under his nose. That human brat seemed to have some kind of mysterious method that allowed him to break through his seals. 6 hours later, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in a deep cave. The surroundings were barren. Biffed. When Du Xiaofu's figure appeared, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was drenched in blood. There were tears on his purple robe, and blood was seeping out. Du Xiaofu's mind scanned the surroundings. He let out a sigh of relief. His hair was messy and covered his face. It had been a long time since he suffered such a serious injury. In the end, he relied on the innate ability of the Scarlet Horse Monkey's bloodline soul to break through Long Heng's seal and escape from the underground. Du Xiaofu had already made preparations from the very beginning. However, if he didn't fight to the death, Long Heng would definitely be on his guard. If that happened, it would be difficult for him to escape from underground. He only had one chance. As Du Xiaofu expected, Long Heng was too strong in the sky. It was almost impossible for him to escape. He could only escape underground. The Scarlet Horse Monkey's bloodline soul had a wonderful effect. Long Heng was obstructed a lot underground. It was also because he caught Du Xiaofu off guard that he had the chance to escape. This old man is really strong. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Long Heng was definitely the strongest opponent he had ever faced. Compared to Lei Yang, Long Heng wasn't just a little bit stronger. Even Du Xiaofu was unable to determine Long Heng's exact cultivation level. It seems like I have to be more careful in the burial wasteland. Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed. Although the experts from the Eternal Tomb like Legalism, School of Vertical and Horizontal, School of Famers and Dragons couldn't enter this wasteland, there were some super experts from the Human Race and Beast Alliance that weren't much weaker than those from the Eternal Tomb. He was lucky this time. If he were to encounter them again, he might not be so lucky. Many people from the desolate country might have entered the burial wasteland. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but worry. After tidying up his clothes, Du Xiaofu found a secluded place. He set up a restriction and entered the desolate ancient space. He didn't want Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu to worry. You're injured. Are you okay? In the desolate ancient space, Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu's expressions changed when they saw Du Xiaofu's pale face and unconcealable dispirited aura. They were very worried. It was obvious that he had suffered a serious injury. I met an old man. It's not a big deal. I just need some time to heal. I also gained something. A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's pale face. He waved his hand and took the body of the ancient expert out of his Qinkuan pouch. As the ancient expert appeared, an ancient aura was faintly discernible. After confirming that there was no danger, Du Xiaofu stepped forward and carefully examined the body of the ancient expert. The ancient expert had not leveled up, but his face was still ruddy. There was still an indistinct aura around him. Du Xiaofu guessed that since the ancient expert and the ancient dragons had appeared together, they had obviously gone through a fierce battle. In the end, neither of them could do anything to the other. In the end, both of them fell here. Countless years had passed, and there were still traces of the earth-shattering battle. This made Du Xiaofu's heart tremble. If this was true, it was enough to prove how terrifying the ancient experts were. During the Great Tribulation of the dragons and phoenixes, the strongest in the world were the dragons, the Qilants, and the phoenixes. At that time, humans could only survive in the cracks. However, this expert was able to perish together with the ancient dragons. His strength was terrifying. Du Xiaofu carefully examined the body of the ancient expert. He wanted to know if there was any inheritance on this expert. This was the most important treasure of an ancient expert. Senior, please excuse me. Senior. Looking at the body of the ancient expert before him, Du Xiaofu hesitated and pondered for a while. After bowing respectfully, his hand seals changed. A silver-gold arc of lightning pulsed between his eyebrows. Accompanied by the power of his soul, it immediately landed on the forehead of the ancient expert. Just as Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit landed on the ancient expert's forehead, the ancient expert's body suddenly trembled. In an instant, talisman runes swept out and a vast aura seemed to come alive. The surrounding space instantly froze. Buzz buzz. Even the pitch-black longsword was filled with deep black runes. A sharp aura fluctuated, and light surged. It was as if the sword light was about to erupt at any time. In an instant, the tightly shut eyes of the ancient expert opened. The light in his eyes was like a ray of light, and then it enveloped Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu didn't have time to react. The light was very strange, and its speed was too fast. He only felt a blur in front of his eyes, and then his surroundings were filled with a strange, dazzling light. He couldn't look at it directly, so he had to close his eyes. Xiaofu, Master, Master. Ouyang Shuang and Zhong Yuan's expressions changed drastically. Don't worry, it should be fine, Dai Xingyu said. She felt that this aura did not seem to have any evil intentions. When Du Xiaofu came back to his senses, he felt that his mind had appeared in a space filled with dazzling light. This space was filled with a fierce and vast aura. The world has changed. It's like waking up from a dream. Finally, someone has come. This voice was low and deep, like the melodious sound of an ancient bell. While Du Xiaofu was puzzled, mysterious runes appeared in the void. The light was dazzling, and an extremely illusory figure vaguely appeared. This figure was tall and straight, wearing a loose robe. His eyes were as deep as the sea, and there was a terrifying aura that spread out, shaking people's souls. He floated in front of Du Xiaofu, and was exactly the same as the ancient expert outside. It was clearly just a phantom, and Du Xiaofu couldn't feel any pressure from it. However, Du Xiaofu felt as if his entire body had been frozen solid. It was as if he couldn't resist at all. This kind of pressure was much stronger than the pressure that Long Hong, the Yu family's imperial ancestor, and even the ancient emperor had felt in the past. The Great Tribulation has begun, and the heaven-shaking war has begun. Dragons and phoenixes dance, and the Qilin is broken. This is a great tribulation, but also an opportunity. I hope the human race can seize this opportunity. However, this saint cannot escape from this tribulation. It is difficult to describe in a few words. Become my disciple, and treat my divine weapon, Nine Tribulations, well. My name is Nine Tribulations, Heavenly Saint. The melodious voice did not fluctuate at all, and directly resounded in the depths of Du Xiaofu's mind. Every word could beat Du Xiaofu's soul. Boom! Just as the melodious voice fell, the illusory figure fluctuated and turned into a bright light of energy. Following a huge wave, it swept into Du Xiaofu's mind and disappeared. When Du Xiaofu came back to his senses, he also found that this was a huge amount of energy pouring into his body, accompanied by a huge amount of information in his mind. This huge amount of information was the inheritance of a Nine Tribulations heavenly saint. This surprised Du Xiaofu. At the same time, Du Xiaofu was surprised to discover that there was a powerful and surging energy pouring into him from within this enormous aura. It was like the purest profound qi and yuan spirit energy, and it directly spread into his body. There was no need to refine it at all. This is the benefit of the inheritance. Du Xiaofu was pleasantly surprised that he had already woken up. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to accept the huge benefits brought by the ancient inheritance. After suffering heavy injuries, Du Xiaofu was about to heal his injuries. At this moment, this huge amount of energy was undoubtedly equivalent to consuming a large amount of sacred medicine. It circulated in his body and began to nourish his body, restoring the profound qi in his God's gate. Sitting cross-legged, the golden-winged rock clan's cultivation technique automatically circulated. The aura on Du Xiaofu's body began to surge, and his entire body was enveloped by a mysterious golden circle of light. Walala! The golden circle of light fluctuated with runes, and a vast and ancient aura spread out, causing Ouyang Shuang, Zhong Yuan, and Dai Xingyu to feel their hearts skip a beat. Big Brother Xiaofu has obtained this ancient inheritance. Dai Xingyu was pleasantly surprised. This was Big Brother Xiaofu had obtained the ancient inheritance. Master seems to have obtained a huge benefit again. Zhong Yuan felt that Du Xiaofu's aura was rising in a straight line. His eyes flashed, and his face was somewhat stunned. Master's strength had already improved to a terrifying level, and now, his aura seemed to have clearly increased. This inheritance was probably not simple. In the dark and quiet mountain range, killing intent covered the heavens and the earth. There was a mountain range that was exposed above the clouds, floating in a dark red sea of clouds. Mountain waves surged, layer upon layer. Looking down from the top, the large mountain range was dark and boundless. In this mountain range, around a towering mountain peak, there were cliffs that seemed to have been carved by knives and axes. The huge mountain peak was straight up and down. At this moment, in front of the mountain peak, there was a deep valley that was shockingly quiet and cold. In front of the valley, a fairy-like girl appeared. Her beautiful face had eyebrows that were like jade feathers, and her skin was as white as snow. Her hair was tied into a simple bun behind her head, and she wore a tight green outfit that outlined the exquisite curves of her tall and graceful body. "It's here." On the girl's fairy-like face, a ripple of joy flashed across her glassy eyes. Then, her figure drifted like a deity, and she instantly entered the deep valley. Time passed slowly. The commotion that came from the sky burial deathland had started for quite some time, attracting all the experts to enter. Generally speaking, even Saint Realm cultivators would not dare to be careless in a place like the sky burial deathland. At the very least, only domain realm cultivators would dare to enter. However, there were still some honorable realm cultivators who were not afraid of death, and even some creatures with lower cultivation levels who wanted to take the risk. However, the reality was cruel. Those who were not strong enough would lose their lives after a little attempt. In the outside world, cracks had appeared in the ancient, desolate, fearsome ground for quite some time. It was recorded that cracks had appeared in the ancient, desolate, fearsome ground twice within half a year. However, no one was certain this time around. It was said that those who entered the ancient wilderness deathland would automatically be pushed out when the crack closed, as long as they did not encounter any danger in the ancient wilderness deathland. There was no need to worry that they would not be able to come out when the crack closed. Chapter 2371. In the Divine Domain, this place was extremely secretive. No one in the tricontinent Kyushu knew about it. In front of a mountain peak, Miameng King and Thunderhawk King sat cross-legged as if they were waiting for something. Boom! In a misty space, for some unknown reason, the space suddenly trembled, following which, an extremely powerful aura rose. Accompanied by the sound of lightning and thunder, a vast amount of natural energy on the mountain peak continuously gathered and poured in like a surging tide. Within the space, there were purple lightning fluctuations as an enormous aura continued to rise. The rising aura did not last for long. In the void, an enormous amount of energy suddenly burst out like a volcanic eruption, following which, the energy covered the sky and earth as it surged out, causing the entire space to tremble. On the mountain peak, Thunderhawk King and Miameng King, who were sitting cross-legged, opened their eyes at the same time. There were light fluctuations in their eyes as they revealed a slight smile. Swish! Swish! A moment later, from the mountain peak, a tall and fierce figure broke through the air, bringing along a sharp killing aura. It was Du Yunlong of the Du family. Congratulations to the second young master for breaking through again. Congratulations. Looking at Du Yunlong and sensing the aura on his body, Thunderhawk King and Miameng King smiled faintly as they were inwardly moved. The disciples of the Du family were not ordinary existences. Compared to Third Brother, my breakthrough speed and cultivation is not worth mentioning. After such a long time, I'm afraid that Third Brother has improved again. Sigh. Du Yunlong smiled bitterly as he asked Thunderhawk King and Miameng King, "Can we get news of Third Brother?" The crack at the entrance of the ancient, desolate, fearsome grounds seems to be getting bigger. However, there is no news of the owner. It's very peaceful outside now. Thunderhawk King said, Muruabai, Stone. Where are the generals? Du Yunlong pondered for a moment before continuing to ask. They have also made breakthroughs and have gone inside to temper themselves. Miameng King replied, Then I'll go and temper myself again. Du Yunlong nodded. As his voice faded, his figure had already disappeared from the spot. Within the desolate ancient space, Du Xiaofu received the inheritance of a 9 tribulations heavenly sage. How could he let go of such an opportunity? This was a great opportunity. He greedily absorbed the boundless energy within the inheritance, circulating the cultivation method of the golden rock race to refine it for his own use. This kind of pure energy was much faster than Du Xiaofu's refining of any kind of energy. It was like the purest Xian Qi, which could be refined slightly and become one's own Xian Qi. At the same time, in his mind's Niwen Palace, Du Xiaofu's redbone horse monkey essence soul was sitting on the 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian and refining it. His essence soul strength was slowly rising. Within the desolate ancient space, Du Xiaofu's body was wrapped in a dense golden halo. The mysterious runes fluctuated, and there were countless strands of energy that followed the golden runes. It was extremely mysterious as it shuttled back and forth on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body, causing the void to fluctuate. Within the inheritance, Du Xiaofu obtained a large amount of information. That was the inheritance of a 9 tribulations heavenly sage's life. Du Xiaofu immersed himself in it, carefully comprehending it. Fortunately, there was enough time within the desolate ancient space. As the energy from the inheritance was refined, Du Xiaofu's aura rose directly. Walala! The aura that emanated from Du Xiaofu's body became more and more vigorous, causing Zhong Yuan, who was watching from the side, to be dumbfounded. Can the cultivation of the intermediate stage of the sage realm be improved like this? Zhong Yuan smacked his lips, unable to recover from his shock. This was too inconceivable. The cultivation of the intermediate stage of the sage beast realm could still be improved so rapidly. This was a visible improvement. Zhong Yuan's breakthrough from the initial stage of the sage beast realm to the peak of the initial stage of the sage beast realm was already very fast. Moreover, he had also obtained a huge opportunity, but it still took more than 1,000 years. But now, seeing Du Xiaofu's aura rise in a straight line, how could Zhong Yuan not be dumbfounded? Nobody knew when it started, but a vast aura fluctuation spread out from Du Xiaofu's body like a wave. The golden light spread out and finally wrapped around Du Xiaofu's body. It was like a golden spirit snake that continuously extended and burrowed into Du Xiaofu's body through the pores of his pores. It was an unstoppable cycle. This strange change took a total of 3 days. In just 3 days, Zhong Yuan, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu were all shocked. In 3 days, Du Xiaofu's aura seemed to have risen in a straight line and directly climbed to the intermediate stage of the sage realm, close to the advanced stage. Walala! As an increasingly powerful aura gushed out, the surface of Du Xiaofu's body gradually began to glow with golden light. In the end, it was as if there was an illusory figure of a golden-winged rock soaring from his back. Zhong Yuan, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu could clearly feel that the aura of Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit was soaring, and it caused the surrounding space to ripple. Gee! The rock's cry pierced through the clouds and cracked rocks. The golden-winged rock slowly spread out with Du Xiaofu as the center. Its aura was extremely domineering, and it greatly affected Zhong Yuan, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu. Don't tell me he's going to break through to the advanced stage of the sage realm. Zhong Yuan could not help but tremble. This kind of cultivation improvement was a little too terrifying. He could only watch as his master's aura climbed. Another few days passed. Under Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, and Zhong Yuan's dumbfounded gazes, Du Xiaofu's aura had climbed to the advanced stage of the intermediate stage of the sage realm. At this moment, the surrounding space surged, and the majestic aura of energy soared into the sky. The pressure was indescribably terrifying. In front of Du Xiaofu, the pitch-black treasured sword in the hands of that expert seemed to have sensed something. It started to emit sounds of wind and thunder as black runic inscriptions shot up into the sky, exuding an overwhelming pressure. The divine weapon seemed to be awakening. Finally, the surrounding movements began to calm down, and Du Xiaofu's rising aura also began to slowly withdraw. With his eyes tightly shut, Du Xiaofu's slowly withdrawn aura still fluctuated faintly. After a long while, his eyelashes trembled slightly. Boom! A mouthful of turbid air was exhaled from his body, and a wave of aura swept out from his body. It shook the void and caused the space to ripple. Then, Du Xiaofu suddenly opened his eyes, and golden light shot out from his deep eyes. It was as if 2 golden ribbons swept through the void and rushed out, making it impossible for people to look directly at them. Approaching the intermediate stage of the sage realm, the harvest is not shallow. Great! Du Xiaofu quietly withdrew the light in his eyes. He felt the vast, profound energy in his divine gate, and the vast power of his primordial spirit in his mind, and the corners of his mouth curved into a satisfied smile. Du Xiaofu's consciousness peeked into his body, and he felt that the profound energy and primordial spirit in his body had increased by several times compared to before. This speed made him very satisfied. The inheritance of a nine-tribulation, heavenly saint had brought him such great benefits. Moreover, he had finally completely refined the soul of the distant sky flame phoenix during this period of time. Du Xiaofu knew that there was a huge gap between the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm and the later stages of the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm. Now that he had obtained the inheritance of a nine-tribulation heavenly saint, it had brought him such great benefits in terms of cultivation, and he had improved so quickly. Du Xiaofu was amazed. Feeling his improvement, Du Xiaofu closed his eyes again, and his primordial spirit carefully peeked into his body. After seeing the benefits that his cultivation had skyrocketed, Du Xiaofu was a little worried that his foundation would be shaken. Fortunately, after Du Xiaofu carefully peeked into his body, he did not seem to be affected. Everything was normal, and his original injuries had been healed. The vigorous, profound energy in his body and the vast power of his primordial spirit in his Niwen Palace gave him an incomparably comfortable feeling. This was the most irresistible temptation for cultivators. Then, Du Xiaofu checked the inheritance in his Niwen Palace. There were many martial techniques in the inheritance of a nine-tribulation heavenly saint. The most important ones were a set of cultivation methods and a set of sword techniques. The sword technique was called the nine-tribulation sword technique, and it was a terrifying set of sword techniques. From the cultivation information, he knew that when the nine-tribulation sword technique was cultivated to a certain level, one could slay dragons and phoenixes. Du Xiaofu did not doubt this at all. He had seen the primordial dragons die beside a nine-tribulation heavenly saint. Qi La. Du Xiaofu opened his eyes again, and his pupils were clear again. At this moment, the body of the primordial expert had withered, and his face, which was originally slightly ruddy, was sunken and had completely lost its luster. After receiving your inheritance, I am naturally your disciple. Greetings, Master. Master. Looking at the remains of the primordial expert in front of him, Du Xiaofu knelt down and respectfully kowtowed 3 times. Buzz buzz. The nine-tribulation sword kept emitting the sound of wind and thunder, and the mysterious black runes flickered with a fierce aura. After we get out, I will find a place for you to rest in peace. Du Xiaofu stood up. After receiving the inheritance of a nine-tribulation heavenly saint, it was a great deal for him to bow to his master. After he got out, he would also bury his master in peace. However, Du Xiaofu was secretly moved by his master's title of Nine Tribulations Heavenly Saint. The cultivation of the Saint Plane was divided into the early stage, the middle stage, the late stage, and then the Heavenly Saint. His master's title was Nine Tribulations Heavenly Saint. Du Xiaofu wondered if his master had reached the legendary Heavenly Saint Plane. Congratulations, Master. Your cultivation has improved a lot. Congratulations. Xingyuan Qian came to Du Xiaofu's side and was still in shock. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and looked at the nine-tribulation sword. With a wave of his hand, the nine-tribulation sword immediately flew into his hand. The sound of wind and thunder resounded, and the mysterious black runes seemed to be alive, and its aura surged in the void. A divine weapon, beyond the category of ordinary divine weapons. Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. The nine-tribulation sword was not comparable to ordinary divine weapons. It was probably comparable to the current purple-gold heavenly palace. It was just that the purple-gold heavenly palace was connected to him and could continue to evolve, but the nine-tribulation sword could not. Unless one day he reached a monstrous level of cultivation, and with the help of heaven-defying refining materials, he might be able to reforge the nine-tribulation sword and upgrade it again. Chapter 2372. Don't worry, there will be a time when you reappear in the world and shine again. Du Xiaofu murmured softly as he looked at the nine-tribulation sword. It was a pity that he had the purple-gold heavenly palace. Although the nine-tribulation sword was a divine weapon, it would undoubtedly be drowned in its light in his hands. If it was swallowed by the purple-gold heavenly palace, he would have let down his master and drowned out a divine weapon. Subsequently, Du Xiaofu could only keep the weapon in his Qinkuan bag for the time being. He would make a decision later. As for the cultivation method and 9 Tribulations sword art that he had obtained from the 9 Tribulations Heavenly Saints' inheritance, Du Xiaofu was unable to practice that cultivation method. He could only practice the cultivation method of the great golden-winged Peng clan. As for the 9 Tribulations sword art, Du Xiaofu had comprehended a little. This 9 Tribulations sword art was not inferior to the sky-splitting 3 swords. However, he had not successfully comprehended the sky-splitting 3 swords. Biting off more than one could chew was not good enough. Du Xiaofu did not plan to comprehend the 9 Tribulations sword art again in the short term. When everything was in order, Du Xiaofu smiled in satisfaction. He had gained a lot this time. At least his cultivation had skyrocketed. What he needed most now was to increase his cultivation. Congratulations, big brother Xiaofu. Dai Xingyu was very happy. Seeing Du Xiaofu's huge improvement made her happier than her own breakthrough. Ouyang Shuang was also relieved at this moment. Just a little improvement. Du Xiaofu smiled and peaked with his consciousness. The ground wolf, ice toad, and the others were still healing in a corner. He did not disturb them. After tidying up, he brought Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, and the demonic ape out of the ancient desolate space. Du Xiaofu's strength had once again skyrocketed, giving him a boost of confidence. During the battle with Long Hong not too long ago, the Redbone Stallion Monkey's Yuan spirit had been busy refining the distant Sky Flame Phoenix's energy within his body and had been unable to participate in the battle. At this moment, the strength of his Yuan spirit had once again skyrocketed. If he were to meet Long Hong again, Du Xiaofu reckoned that he would at least have a greater chance of escaping. However, Du Xiaofu did not think that he had the strength to contend with Long Hong. That Du Xiaofu knew that Long Hong was unfathomable. He had not even used his true form. With his current strength, Du Xiaofu would be able to escape if he met with Long Hong. Du Xiaofu's was that Long's? However, Du Xiaofu was buried heavens, dead heaven, deathlands, in's heaven, burial deathland. However, in order to avoid encountering opponents like Long Hong and Lei Yong, Du Xiaofu had no choice but to use the face-changing divine art. He changed his appearance again. He stirred the aura of a demonic beast on his body and concealed himself as a member of the beast race. If someone had cultivated the face-changing divine art, it would be difficult for them to conceal themselves as a member of the beast race. However, Du Xiaofu was an exception. His body was similar to a demonic beast. Along the way, relying on the Redbone Horse Monkey Meridian Spirit's innate talent, Du Xiaofu obtained 2 more sacred artifacts and several mysterious bones. However, none of them were from the ancient era. One day later, in an ancient ruin, there were broken walls and ruins, leaving behind half of a ruined city. Many figures had gathered in the city. There were actually humans and beasts. There were also some hawking voices, selling cultivation resources. This isn't strange at all. The Heaven Burial Deathland is very big. There are several places like this for cultivation. Even if people have grudges against each other, they won't fight here. This is an unwritten rule. Otherwise, they will be besieged and shamed by everyone. In these places, there are people who sell precious medicines, treasures, and so on. They can also exchange information or form groups to explore dangerous places in search of opportunities. Pai Yuan explained to Du Xiaofu, Ouyang Shuang, and Dai Xingyu. Du Xiaofu walked into the ruined city. It looked like a small post station. However, it was bustling with people. Du Xiaofu's keen consciousness probed around and discovered that several experts of the initial stage of the Sage Realm were hiding among them. Do you want a map? It's rumored that this ancient map contains a great secret. Perhaps you can find the biggest mystery in the Heaven Burial Deathland. A shifty-eyed middle-aged man stepped forward. His eyes swiveled as he fished out a very ancient-looking scroll and waved it in front of Du Xiaofu and Zhong Yuan. Subsequently, his gaze involuntarily landed on Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu. Such beautiful women could not be found in the outside world. Scram! Pai Yuan waved his fist and shouted. As a wandering cultivator, he had seen everything. If there really was such an ancient map, it would have been snatched by others long ago. The shifty-eyed middle-aged man sensed that Pai Yuan wasn't someone to be trifled with. He immediately left resentfully. It's these three people. If we can find any one of them, we'll be able to obtain great benefits. This person is the one that holy ancestor Long Hong of the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan wants. It's rumored that he's called the Rock Emperor, also known as the Demon King. He's caused havoc in the human race's holy city, left his name in the holy temple, and overpowered all the peerless experts. He's also killed many experts from the Beast race and the Beast Alliance. A commotion could be heard from the crowd. A group of people gathered in front, discussing animatedly. Big brother Xiaofu, they seem to be talking about you, Dai Xingyu said with a smile. Let's go and have a look. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. Anyway, he'd already changed his appearance with the divine art of disguise and walked into the crowd. Then, Du Xiaofu was surprised to see a stone wall that was filled with light. There was a portrait of himself wearing a blue spirit armor on it. It was even emitting a faint domineering aura. It's Little Huang and Little Ba. When Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu followed Du Xiaofu into the crowd, their expressions changed. There were 2 other portraits beside Du Xiaofu's portrait. One of them was a little girl, about 5 or 6 years old. Under her long eyelashes were a pair of big, beautiful eyes that made one's heart throb. There was also a half-grown boy. Although he wasn't very old, his temperament was outstanding. His body was tall and straight like a baby rock, but his features were delicate and pretty. And this little girl and young man, who else could they not know Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba? At this moment, Du Xiaofu's heart trembled violently. He looked at Ouyang Shuang in shock. It's said that this little girl and boy are very young, but their strength is outstanding. The little girl is even an extinct supreme ant emperor. They might have obtained a pure-blooded phoenix egg. That's a priceless treasure. Now, both the human race and the beast race are looking for them. A pure-blooded phoenix egg? That's a priceless treasure. If the human race obtains it, they can refine the purest phoenix blood essence. If the beast race obtains it, they can obtain the supreme phoenix bloodline inheritance. Those 2 little guys' luck is pretty good. However, they've attracted a terrible disaster. I'm afraid they won't be able to obtain such a priceless treasure. The crowd was discussing animatedly. Whoever found these 3 people would be rewarded handsomely. After Du Xiaofu recovered from his shock, his expression became more and more solemn. Hey, these 2 battle servants are not bad. I wonder if they can be exchanged? Suddenly, someone's gaze landed on Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu. It was a middle-aged man who appeared to be in his 40s. There were many battle servants and experts following behind him, all of them exuding a powerful aura. This middle-aged man himself had a terrifying aura as he asked Du Xiaofu and Ouyang Shuang, "Do you want to die?" Ouyang Shuang's temper wasn't very good. Immediately, the expression on her peerless face turned cold. She stared straight at the middle-aged man and scolded, "You're a fierce woman. You're to my liking. Name your price. My 4-winged demon snake clan wants these 2 battle servants." The middle-aged man stared at Ouyang Shuang with a burning gaze. In the Beast Alliance, the 4-winged demon snake clan couldn't be compared to the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon clan. However, it was definitely a large clan. The middle-aged man was certain that ordinary demonic beast clans wouldn't dare to go against his will. These 2 battle servants were simply peerless beauties. He wanted to keep them in his bag. Pa! Before the middle-aged man could finish his sentence, a crisp sound of a slap resounded from his mouth. He spat out a mouthful of blood along with a mouthful of broken teeth. His entire body directly fell into the wall in front of him that revealed the 3 shadows. The wall directly shattered, and the 3 shadows disappeared. Half of the middle-aged man's body was smashed into the wall and was covered by the rubble. Bang! The ground trembled as if the earth was shaking. This sudden change caused the surrounding gazes to be unable to recover for a moment. Immediately after, numerous gazes fell on Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, Zhong Yuan, and Du Xiaofu. In the end, they fixed their gazes on Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's faint aura fluctuated. It was obvious that he was the one who had just attacked. It's Shigua from the 4-winged demon snake clan. His cultivation is at the sage to be level, but he couldn't even withstand a single blow. Who was the one who attacked? He actually didn't put the four-winged demon snake clan in his eyes. In an instant, the surroundings were in an uproar. Everyone knew that a great battle was unavoidable. The four-winged demon snake clan wasn't to be trifled with. They didn't want to be implicated. Elder. The people following behind the middle-aged man were stunned for a moment. However, they immediately recovered from their shock. Someone hurriedly stepped forward to support the middle-aged man. Who are you? A gloomy and cold gaze stared at Du Xiaofu. It was an old man behind the middle-aged man. His old face was withered, and his expression was feminine. He seemed to be in his twilight years. However, his whole body quietly froze at this moment. You should also have some ideas about my woman. Let him understand himself. Then, I'll let you go. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Du Xiaofu glanced at the middle-aged man who was being supported and said to the old man, daring to have ideas about his woman? This was Du Xiaofu's bottom line. Du Xiaofu didn't intend to let go of the four-winged demon snake clan. Du Xiaofu wouldn't let go of anyone else. Even if it was someone else, Du Xiaofu wouldn't let go of them. However, at this moment, more and more onlookers were listening to Du Xiaofu's words. More and more onlookers were secretly trembling in their eyes. He had asked the four-winged demon snake clan Shigua to take his own life. How much did he not put the four-winged demon snake clan in his eyes? Where did he come from? Was he a member of a super clan? Great ancestor, kill that boy. The middle-aged man opened his mouth. Blood was flowing out of his mouth. He looked very ferocious. His face was gloomy and filled with resentment. Sir, don't go too far. The feminine-looking old man was also secretly stunned. Then, he stared at Du Xiaofu. A faint pressure spread out from his body, as if he was warning Du Xiaofu. You want to threaten me with your holy beast middle stage cultivation? I'm afraid it's not enough. Du Xiaofu looked at the old man with a cold expression. Chapter 2379. Was this young man really at the Nirvana realm? His combat strength was comparable to a Nirvana realm expert at the peak of the Nirvana realm. His physical defense was absolutely abnormal for him to be able to withstand the attack that it did not hold back. Mingjiao, take down this young man as soon as possible. Do it. A huge bird killed a human expert. Its voice was sharp, and killing intent shot out from its eyes. It did not want to waste any time and flapped its wings to pounce on Du Xiaoba. Young man, don't blame me for being impolite if you don't hand over the Phoenix True Egg. The eyes of the Yu family's peak elder sank at the same time. He was even closer to Du Xiaoba, who was once again pushed back. His profound chi surged, and his figure cut through the air with the sound of wind breaking. He twisted the void with one hand and grabbed at Du Xiaoba fiercely. Roar! At the same time, the flood dragon's eyes sank. It had already lost face after missing its attack. It did not want the bird to make the first move and gain the upper hand. So it pounced on Du Xiaoba again with a terrifying aura. Du Xiaoba was in the sky, and his 9 divine rings were beginning to dim. 3 experts were pouncing on him at the same time. With his strength, it was difficult to deal with one, let alone 3. All of them wanted to take him down first. However, Du Xiaoba was not afraid. On his delicate and handsome face, he grinned coldly and fiercely. The profound chi in his body burst out. He wanted to fight directly. Even if he died, he wanted to drag someone down with him to buy time for little Huang. Xiaoba, I'm coming. But at this moment, a young voice fell into Du Xiaoba's ears. Walala! At this moment, the sky suddenly became scorching hot as a terrifying blazing aura burned everything. 7 colored flames descended, causing the old man at the peak of the domain realm, the ferocious bird, and the serpent dragon to stop as they looked up at the sky. Even the human and beast experts who were fighting in the surroundings could not help but stop fighting. They all looked up at the sky because the terrifying blazing aura made their souls tremble. Everyone looked up and saw that the chaotic void had quietly become scorching hot. Golden light, 7 colored flame, and green light intertwined with each other. It was as if the sun was shining and the flames were rolling. In an instant, the old man at the peak of the domain realm, the flood dragon, and the ferocious bird that had attacked Du Xiaoba let out miserable shrieks. The seven-colored flames were like divine flames descending, scorching everything. In a short moment, they were all burned to ashes. Their cultivation was comparable to that of a half-saint. Their strength was definitely not ordinary. However, they were burned to ashes in an instant. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. Everyone couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air and feel their hairs stand on end. Amidst the monstrous seven-colored flame, a soul-devouring divine ant appeared in front of Du Xiaoba's 1,000-feet-tall Buddha shadow. This soul-devouring divine ant was not large, only the size of a child. Its 8 wings were connected, and they were as thin as a cicada's wings. It was enveloped by 7-colored divine flames, and a 7-colored brilliance emanated from it. There was also a strand of golden light that flickered, releasing the supreme beast pressure of the Phoenix clan, accompanied by the domineering pressure of the golden-winged Great Peng clan. Boom! However, when such a soul-devouring divine ant appeared, the entire void trembled. Under the terrifying pressure, all the living beings present trembled, and some beasts prostrated themselves. The divine ant flapped its wings and soared into the sky. The 7-colored divine flames surrounded its body, and the supreme beast pressure swept across the sky, vast and mighty, shocking the world. Gee, gee, the divine ant shrieked, like the cry of a phoenix and the cry of a sparrow. Supreme Ant Emperor. This is the legendary Supreme Ant Emperor. Those Saint Realm cultivators were all shocked at this moment. The legendary Supreme Ant Phoenix had really appeared. It's very strange. There are 3 supreme beast pressures. Some beasts were puzzled as they felt the aura of the Supreme Ant Emperor. This Supreme Ant Phoenix seemed to have the aura of the golden-winged Great Peng clan, the Phoenix clan, and the soul-devouring divine ant itself. Little Huang has stepped into the Saint Beast realm. Du Xiaoba's pale face revealed a pleasantly surprised smile as he looked at Du Xiaoba's Supreme Ant Emperor body in front of him. With the Supreme Ant Emperor body in the sky, Du Xiaoba flapped her wings and shook the heavens and earth, causing the world to boil and shaking the heavens. All the living beings in the surrounding void trembled. The Supreme Ant Phoenix was also a legendary existence in this fearsome land. In the legends, it had left behind endless legends and peerless demeanor. Yet now, a true exalted Ant Phoenix had appeared. This is the real Supreme Ant Phoenix. Many beasts were shocked. The terrifying pressure crushed the beasts' souls, and they couldn't help but prostrate themselves. She has just stepped into the Saint Realm. Quickly capture the Supreme Ant Emperor. The Phoenix True Egg is most likely in her hands. A human Saint Realm cultivator's eyes were blazing. His robes fluttered as he pounced toward Du Xiaoba. Accompanied by a hazy mist and runes, this human Saint Realm cultivator raised his hand, and a palm print rapidly enlarged, grabbing toward Du Xiaoba's body, forming a terrifying pressure. This palm was very powerful. The palm print expanded with the wind, covering a large area of the void as if it covered the sky and the sun. It was about to suppress Du Xiaoba amidst the rumbling sounds. Humph! Du Xiaohuang let out a deep snort, and a dazzling azure light gushed out from her body along with a golden brilliance. Her azure and golden eyes were like 2 rising suns in the sky, displaying a terrifying, profound meaning. Rumble! At the same time, Du Xiaoba's body clenched her antennae as if a fist was about to form. The sound of heaven suddenly rumbled. Above the void behind her, there were already 9 divine rings in the air, echoing with the fist, bursting out thousands of fist auras. The power of the Supreme Ant Phoenix. Du Xiaoba advanced instead of retreating. Her fist rushed out like the rising sun, colliding with the former's palm print. The two collided. Du Xiaoba's fist bloomed with astonishing, profound meaning, faintly containing the domineering aura of the golden-winged great rocks and the power of the true phoenix. After a short pause, it directly shattered the former's palm print. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, the palm of the Saint Realm cultivator who attacked was shattered. Then, broken flesh rushed out of his arm in an instant, and a bloody hole appeared on his shoulder. Finally, it spread all over his body. His body was completely shattered in an instant. This poor Saint Realm cultivator's eyes were naturally filled with horror. He felt the aura of death crazily surging out of his divine soul, but it was too late. Bang, 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 bang. This human Saint Realm cultivator's body and primordial spirit directly exploded. He was completely unable to resist the terrifying power. In the end, his body completely turned into a bloody mist in the void. A Saint Realm cultivator's divine soul was destroyed in one move. The surrounding space was silent for no reason, and countless people were stunned. Huff, huff, then, everyone gasped. All the cultivators present were stunned. This was too terrifying. Such a supreme ant phoenix shocked everyone present. What a terrifying supreme ant phoenix. All the Saint Realm experts present here were shocked because they didn't dare act rashly against such an exalted ant phoenix. Didn't it just set foot in the Saint Realm? How could it kill a Saint Realm cultivator in one move? Someone said. Such a supreme ant phoenix made people unable to help but feel shocked. Du Xiaoba put away the Vajra Buddha shadow and the supreme nirvana force, stuffed a few precious medicines into his mouth, chewed like a demon beast, and went to Du Xiaohuang's side. But at this moment, Du Xiaohuang's eyes were even more dignified. She looked to the side as if she had sensed something. She transmitted her voice to Du Xiaoba. There's a strong cultivator coming. Later, you find a way to escape first. I will find a way to escape. You go first. You're my sister. I have to take good care of you. Du Xiaoba transmitted his voice with a solemn expression. He knew that Du Xiaohuang was also so serious. The strong cultivator who came must have reached a terrifying level. He was the elder brother, so he naturally had to take good care of his sister. Don't show off. Your strength is not as good as mine. Besides, we don't know who's older. Du Xiaohuang said to Du Xiaoba. In terms of birth time, she was indeed older. I look older than you. That means I'm your elder brother, whether you admit it or not. Don't worry about me. You go first and find Uncle Xiaofu and Uncle Xiaoyao. Du Xiaoba said sternly. He knew that with Du Xiaohuang's current strength and means, there was a great chance for her to escape. If she cared about him, the chance was too slim. Don't say any more. Anyway, we can't go there. Let's fight. Du Xiaohuang rolled her eyes at Du Xiaoba and said, if we can escape this time, I will admit that you are my elder brother in the future. Okay. Du Xiaoba's pale face cracked into a grin. Relying on his ferocity, he stuffed a few more spiritual fruits into his mouth. As Du Xiaoba's voice fell, there was a vast aura in the void from the side. Many figures appeared above the void in an instant. The first one was an old man. His light was like stars, and his eyes were bright. He glanced around and immediately fell on Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba. Next to the old man, a tall man stood at a low altitude. His light red hair was filled with brilliance, and his eyes were as clear as the stars. Although the young man's aura had not reached the Saint Realm, it made the creatures around him feel an invisible pressure, and they trembled secretly. It's the Ji family. Lord Jitsong, that's Lord Jitsong. Among the humans, someone exclaimed in surprise. It was Jitsong of the Ji family, a famous expert. He had also come here. Boom! The space trembled slightly, and there was a fluctuation in the void not far away. More experts had arrived, and the fluctuation of their aura was definitely not an ordinary expert. The first one was an old man with a halo like a divine halo. His aura was powerful, and his eyes were like the sun. Next to the old man, there was a young man with a mysterious halo around him. He stood in the void like the son of a god, and the mysterious ancient aura that made people want to worship him. The aura that emanated from this figure was vast, as if a peerless beast had arrived. His eyes, in particular, were like two rotating stars. It was very terrifying. Lord Yao Yonghao of the Yao family and Yao Tianwu, the young supreme of the Yao family. Someone among the humans could not help but exclaim again. The Yao family had also arrived. Swoosh, in the surrounding void. More and more experts broke through the void and appeared one after another. There were even a few Saint Realm cultivators. However, these saints stood behind the crowd and seemed to have sensed the aura of Yao Yonghao and Jitsong, and did not get close. Boom! Suddenly, Above the void, an aura surged, setting off boundless spatial waves. There were dazzling runes intertwined, and a huge, ferocious bird bobbed up and down in the void, stirring up the void. Rumble. The space trembled, and the aura soared into the sky. Waves of terrifying aura were released, shaking heaven and earth. Behind the huge, ferocious bird, many more ferocious birds appeared. In particular, the ferocious bird at the front was daunting, and the experts present could not help but tremble in fear. It was extremely terrifying. It's Lord Shin Condor of the Gulen Heavenly Condor clan. Such a ferocious bird appeared in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Its wings were incomparably huge, and its aura was sharp and ancient. It looked very terrifying. The appearance of the Shin Condor made Jitsong and Yao Yonghao secretly change their expressions. The Shin Condor was in the sky, and when its huge eyes opened and closed, there seemed to be lightning flashing. It was deafening as it stared at Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba. Roar. There was a sound like a dragon's roar, and another figure appeared again. There was only one person who suddenly appeared, as if he had torn the void apart. His blood-red hair was scattered, as if flowing blood, and the light was dazzling, as if a blood-red flame was flowing. This figure was very strange. There was a pair of fleshy wings on the back of the humanoid figure, and they were also blood-red in color. There were waves of divine radiance and mysterious runes in the blood light. This figure was too powerful. His eyes emitted blood-red light, as if a surging sea of blood. It was incomparably vast. Blood Malevolent Patriarch. Oh my God, he's here. Blood Malevolent Patriarch of the Ro Owl clan. Oh no, why is he here? Didn't they say that he might have fallen? Shoo, lower your voice. Blood Malevolent Patriarch is not to be trifled with. Even the patriarchs of the big clans of the Beast Alliance have to be wary of him. When such a humanoid creature appeared, the eyes of the experts of the beast race trembled, and they secretly felt a chill down their spines. Yao Yonghao and Jitsong's expressions turned even uglier, and even a little ugly and dignified. Blood Malevolent Patriarch actually appeared. They knew that even if the two of them joined forces, they would not be able to do anything to Blood Malevolent Patriarch, not to mention the Shin Condor of the Gulen Heavenly Condor clan. The battle strength of the Shin Condor alone was not inferior to theirs. Lord Blood Malevolent Patriarch. Shin Condor's ferocious eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Ancestor Shui Meng. Even though he was an expert from the Gulen Heavenly Condor clan and a divine ancestor-level expert, he had no choice but to nod his head in acknowledgement. Unfortunately, Blood Malevolent Patriarch did not seem to care too much about Shin Condor's nod. He only glanced indifferently at Shin Condor before his blood-red eyes fixed on Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba. The legendary Ant Emperor actually still has a bloodline. Could it have evolved? The Blood Malevolent Ancestor looked at Du Xiaohuang with a puzzled expression. Then, a smile appeared on his face as his blood-red eyes rippled with passion. It seems that the Phoenix True Egg is in your hands. Are you coming with me, or do you need me to do it? Old thing, who do you think you are? Du Xiaohuang looked directly at Blood Malevolent Patriarch. She had seen all kinds of people. Although Blood Malevolent Patriarch's aura was terrifying, it was not enough to scare her. However, at this moment, Du Xiaohuang's green eyes were inwardly solemn. The aura of the Blood Mane Patriarch was much stronger than that of the Shin Condor and the few human Saint Realm experts. It was unlikely that they would be able to escape today. You're a little arrogant, but your initial Saint Beast level cultivation is far from enough. Blood Malevolent Patriarch said boldly. His voice was like a surging sea of blood, causing the surrounding living beings to tremble and feel uneasy. Boom, boom. Blood Malevolent Patriarch immediately attacked without any hesitation. The pair of blood-red wings on his back did not move, but his figure was already moving forward. His technique was extraordinary. The blood-red light on his body turned into runes that filled the sky and condensed into a waterfall. It was like a blood-red thunderbolt that fell directly on the sovereign ant phoenix. The blood-red energy rushed in all directions. Gee. Du Xiaohuang's sovereign ant phoenix flapped her wings and let out a phoenix cry. The seven-colored divine fire on her body burned even more fiercely. She flapped her wings and directly resisted. The blood-red light and the seven-colored scarlet flame surged, shocking everyone. The surrounding void collapsed inch by inch. The seven-colored scarlet flame was obviously very strong, but it was immediately suppressed by the blood-red light. This blood-red light was too terrifying, too terrifying. Immediately, Du Xiaohuang's sovereign ant phoenix body fell from the void. Golden light and seven-colored flames flowed in the dazzling light on her body, but she could not help but spit out a mouthful of fire like blood from her mouth. Her body fell heavily to the ground. Bang! Du Xiaoba was also sent flying and fell beside Du Xiaohuang. He was only affected by the aftermath of the strong wind, but it was difficult for him to resist. He spat out blood and fell to the ground. So strong. Yao Yonghao, Jitsong, Xin Condor and the others were secretly shocked. Blood Malevolent Patriarch lived up to his reputation. It was obvious that Blood Malevolent Patriarch had not used his full strength. He wanted to keep them alive. Old thing, what kind of ability is it to bully the young? If my father was here, he would definitely kill you. Du Xiaohuang flapped her wings and climbed up from the pile of rubble. Her eyes turned into seven colors, the light on her body dimmed, and blood flowed. She stared at Blood Malevolent Patriarch and said, "Even if my sister, Uncle Xiaoyao, Aunt Xiaojing, and Grandpa were here, they would definitely beat you up until your mother couldn't recognize you." Hearing this, everyone was secretly shocked. Even Blood Malevolent Patriarch, Xin Condor, Jitsong, Yao Yonghao, and the other experts were no exception. This was a legendary Supreme Ant Emperor. If such a tiny Supreme Ant Emperor was already at the initial stage of the Saint Beast realm, then how powerful would its father, grandfather, sister, uncles, and aunts be? Could there really be so many sovereign ant emperors? Some of the experts present secretly guessed. They had never heard of the existence of sovereign ant emperors. If there really were sovereign ant emperors, then they would definitely be a terrifying race. If they touched this sovereign ant emperor today, the consequences would definitely be unimaginable. It's impossible for there to be another sovereign ant emperor. The birth of such a sovereign ant emperor might be a coincidence. It's an ancient species. But soon after, a living being expert said so. It was impossible for such a terrifying sovereign ant emperor to have a terrifying race. Otherwise, how terrifying would it be? Xiaohuang, you go first. Go find Uncle Xiaofu and Uncle Xiaoyao. Go find Sister Xingxing. Du Xiaoba crawled out with a pale face. He could see that the opponent's strength was not something they could contend against. Even Du Xiaohuang, who had already stepped into the early stage of the Saint Beast realm, was no match for it. You go first. I have a way to escape. Du Xiaohuang said to Du Xiaoba. At this moment, how could she not understand that Du Xiaoba was deliberately trying to delay the opponent? But with Du Xiaoba's cultivation and strength, he was no match for it. It was purely suicide. Hee, you still want to leave? Don't be delusional. None of you can escape. Blood Malevolent Patriarch didn't think too much, but he was secretly stunned. He also didn't believe that there really was a sovereign ant emperor race. Chi La, and at the same time as his voice fell, Blood Malevolent Patriarch waved his claw to tear the void, drawing a huge spatial mark above the vacuum, and instantly penetrated in front of Du Xiaohuang's body. Du Xiaohuang raised her eyes, and a dazzling seven-colored green light burst out from her body, like the sun. Her fierce eyes were also full of bright runes at this time. In the face of Blood Malevolent Patriarch's claw, Du Xiaohuang flapped her 8 wings together. The talisman runes on her 8 wings flashed as if they wanted to tear the space apart. Energy ripples visible to the naked eye spread out from the surroundings, with a light like golden lightning raging. It was like a golden-winged rock or a true phoenix was about to fly out. It made the densely packed experts around feel a sense of trembling in their veins and souls. You overestimate yourself? Haha. Blood Malevolent Patriarch sneered. Under the terrifying claw, an invisible power of cultivation descended and directly suppressed Du Xiaohuang, leaving her no way out. The void was sealed, and she was imprisoned. In an instant, The claw tore through the vacuum and enveloped Du Xiaohuang's sovereign ant emperor body. The terrifying and fierce blood aura wanted to corrode everything. Du Xiaohuang's eyes were incomparably solemn, but there was also a trace of fear. At this moment, she clenched her teeth and a ruthless look flashed across her face. Even if she died, she absolutely could not fall into the hands of this old thing in front of her. "You can't touch my niece." Suddenly, at this critical moment, a golden figure appeared in front of Du Xiaohuang in a ghostly manner. With a shake of his arm, golden light suddenly erupted. Like countless golden lightning serpents, they ruthlessly landed on the claw of blood malevolent ancestor with a momentum that seemed to be able to push everything in its path. Boom! With a low, muffled sound, the runes that filled the sky shattered, and a terrifying energy storm spread out in an arc in the air. Bang bang! The energy from blood malevolent patriarch's claw dissipated, and the bloody aura swept out with a whistle. The claw was actually blocked. Ding ding! The newcomer's figure staggered back, and his foot stomped on the air. Soon after, he stabilized his body, but that was all. However, this scene was enough to shock all the experts in the surroundings. Everyone's gazes immediately landed on the person who had arrived, and all of them were stunned into a daze. After the figure in front of the sovereign ant emperor stabilized his body with a stomp on the air, a golden-clothed youth clearly appeared in front of everyone. He looked to be about 27 or 28 years old, and his facial features were as handsome as if they were carved by a knife. However, he seemed to have a wanton and unrestrained smile on his face at all times, and his entire person inexplicably emitted an awe-inspiring aura of a king. Chapter 2380. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. At this moment, Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba's gazes had already landed on the newcomer. Looking at the newcomer, Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba's bodies couldn't help but tremble as if they had been electrocuted. Then, their originally solemn expressions were immediately replaced by pleasant surprise. The newcomer was a young man in golden robes. His golden hair fell over his shoulders, and he was thin yet tall. Under his thick eyebrows and under his long and dense eyelashes was a pair of dazzling golden eyes that seemed to be able to steal one's soul. He stumbled back a few steps, but his aura didn't change. However, it couldn't hide his outstanding and heroic bearing. He was born with the aura of a king overlooking the world, exuding a chaotic aura. His golden eyes were deep, giving people a sense of oppression. Uncle Xiaoyao. Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba rushed up in pleasant surprise. At the same time, Du Xiaohuang's original body immediately retracted, returning to her harmless little girl appearance. She rushed excitedly in front of the young man in golden robes. At this moment, this young man in golden robes was none other than Du Xiaoyao. "Niece, that sovereign ant queen really has an uncle." The surrounding experts, regardless of whether they were from the human race or the beast alliance, were all dumbfounded at this moment. So that sovereign ant queen really did have an uncle. Judging from the attack just now, he was indeed not someone to be trifled with. "You two little things, are you all right?" Du Xiaoyao glanced sideways at Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba. There was a hint of blame in the depths of his golden eyes. However, when he saw their pale faces and the bloodstains at the corners of their mouths, he immediately felt his heart ache. He held out a few extraordinary pills and 2 spiritual fruits that were obviously at the level of divine medicine in his hands, and directly handed them to the two. He said, "Quick, take these." The talisman engravings on the pills and the divine spirit fruit were accompanied by vigorous energy fluctuations. The medicinal fragrance assailed the nostrils, causing many eyes to burn with passion. However, no one dared to act rashly. "Uncle Xiaoyao, we're fine. We won't die yet." Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba didn't stand on ceremony. They were very happy and immediately stuffed the pills and spiritual herbs into their own mouths. Oomph! With a cold snort, the blood-malevolent patriarch made his move. He seemed to want to take the 2 sacred herbs and spiritual fruits for himself. A palm print filled with blood-red light moved the clouds in all directions. Half of the sky was dyed blood red. The palm print was like a cloud that blotted out the sky. It came down from above and slammed heavily toward Du Xiaoyao. "All of you, back off," Du Xiaoyao shouted at Du Xiaoba and Du Xiaohuang. Her skin was sparkling and translucent, as if it was exuding a faint golden luster. In an instant, her golden spirit eyes glowed, and a terrifying aura erupted. She directly punched out. The golden light on her fist was so violent that it seemed to be able to suppress everything. Buzz buzz! A low and muffled bang exploded out as Du Xiaoyao's fist struck onto the former's palm, causing the palm to tremble without end. Buzzing sounds of wind and thunder resounded through the sky, and bloody baleful energy surged and fluctuated. But at this moment, the blood-malevolent patriarch had obviously used more strength than before. He didn't hold back anymore. Although the palm print of the blood-malevolent patriarch had loosened a little under Du Xiaoyao's punch, and some cracks appeared on it, they were immediately repaired by the murderous aura. But even so, the blood-malevolent patriarch's eyes were already trembling. He knew best how much strength he had used. An ordinary expert at the peak of the middle stage of the sacred beast realm would die without a doubt, and an expert who had just stepped into the late stage of the sacred beast realm would be severely injured even if they didn't die. However, the mysterious golden-robed young man in front of him had prevented him from achieving the effect he wanted. He couldn't help but be secretly shocked. "Old thing, do you think you can touch my sister just because you want to?" A slightly immature voice suddenly spread above the void. The voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough to fall into the ears of every living expert present. The voice contained an invisible supreme pressure that made the divine souls of all living beings tremble. It was as deafening as a dragon's roar. Boom! A streak of golden flames shot out from the void, and a terrifying scorching energy swept through the sky above the formation. It carried with it a huge pressure, and it seemed to cause the entire space to tremble. It was a soul-shaking sight. Bang, bang, bang. The terrifying energy was accompanied by a mysterious force that caused the void to crumble inch by inch, and the surroundings to be torn apart by pitch-black spatial cracks. The scorching golden flames, accompanied by an extremely strong pressure, spread out. In an instant, the entire space trembled and roared, as if it could burn everything. It vaguely resembled a golden dragon soaring into the sky. It formed a joint attack with Du Xiaoyao's punch, and it collided heavily with the blood-malevolent patriarch's palm print. The majestic power of the golden flames spread out, and even the space was distorted, causing spatial cracks to ripple in the surrounding void. The aura of a supreme being. At this moment, the blood-malevolent patriarch's eyes suddenly changed. He seemed to have sensed something, and an inexplicable fear appeared in his eyes. His body couldn't help but tremble, as if it was an instinctive fear that had nothing to do with one's cultivation. It was an inexplicable natural suppression. Walala! As the golden flames fell on the blood-malevolent patriarch's palm print, the bloody aura spread out like a canopy in the sky. It immediately began to crack and dissipate, and then shattered. The dazzling light was covered, and it was silently obliterated. This is impossible. The blood-malevolent patriarch still hadn't recovered from his shock. His eyes were secretly shocked, as if he had seen the most unbelievable thing. He inexplicably felt that the newcomer's strength was inferior to his, but he didn't know why, but he just felt a sense of fear and reverence. However, that feeling was immediately suppressed by his own cultivation, and he wasn't affected too much. "Sister Xingxing, sister. Sister Xingxing." At the same time, Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba jumped up in joy and excitement. Before Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba's voices fell, there was a fluctuation in the void. Many experts suddenly saw a small figure rush out of the crack in the void as fast as lightning. A clear and slightly immature voice sounded again. "Are the two of you okay?" When the voice sounded, the figure had already appeared. It was a young girl who appeared to be in her teens. On her young and tender face, there was a pair of eyes that did not match those of her age. There was a kind of demonic aura about them. She wore a red dress surrounded by star patterns. At this moment, there was a faint golden brilliance in the depths of her eye-catching demonic eyes, and there was a supreme, overbearing aura. However, when she saw Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba's pale faces and bleeding lips, Her demonic eyes immediately darkened. This little girl was little Xingxing. She accidentally received news of Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba and found this place at the first moment. Sister Xingxing, we're fine. Why are you here? Joy appeared on Du Xiaohuang's face as she excitedly pounced in front of little Xingxing. Oh my God, this sovereign ant emperor has an elder sister. Is there really a clan? The experts in the surroundings were already a little dumbfounded. From the situation of fighting with Ancestor Shuedi just now, this little girl was definitely a powerful person. Tell me, who hurt you? Little Xingxing waved his sleeve and wiped the blood at the corner of Du Xiaohuang's mouth. It's that old fellow, bullying the young. Du Xiaohuang pointed at Ancestor Shuedi and fiercely glared at him. Then, she looked at the experts in the surroundings and said to little Xingxing, and these guys, they don't have good intentions. I almost couldn't see my elder sister again. It's okay. With me here, no one can bully my younger sister, little Xingxing said softly as he wiped the blood at the corner of Du Xiaohuang's mouth. His face was still young, but at this moment, there was a kind of old age and maturity. And Du Xiaohuang nodded forcefully, looking a little wronged. She was completely different from the fierce person just now, as if she was really as harmless as she looked. You're the one who hurt my younger sister? After little Xingxing nodded at Du Xiaoyao, his gaze swept across the surroundings and was already fixed on Ancestor Shuedi. Faint golden flames surged in his eyes, adding to his demonic look. Who are you? Ancestor Shuedi had been secretly sizing up Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing. From the fight just now, he was very clear that these two young lords were extremely extraordinary, which made it difficult for him to see through them. After Du Xiaoyao nodded at little Xingxing, her golden spirit eyes swept over Ancestor Shuedi. Golden light surged on her body as she cursed, "It's your grandpa. Old thing, how dare you hurt my younger sister? You're tired of living." Little Xingxing stared at Ancestor Shuedi. How could he let him off so easily after seriously injuring his younger sister? Do you think that two inexperienced juniors like you are enough? 2 more people coming to die. I'll just kill 2 more today. Being called an old thing by 2 juniors, Ancestor Shuedi's face turned gloomy. The blood aura on his body surged, and the flesh wings on his back trembled. However, when Ancestor Shuedi's voice fell, he suddenly raised his eyes and looked at the void to his left, as if he had sensed something. Crash! Above the void to his left, there was a quiet spatial fluctuation. Then, a graceful and beautiful figure quietly appeared in the void. Although she had appeared without a sound, there seemed to be an invisible light that would not be drowned out. It was a charming young woman. As she appeared, her beautiful figure stood quietly. Her green dress fluttered in the wind, and her long black hair poured down behind her head. She was as otherworldly as an immortal, and also extraordinary and proud of the world. This woman seems to be very similar to the Rock Emperor, but she's not. When the otherworldly woman's figure floated in the air, looking at her beautiful face, the Yao family, Ji family, and other human race people immediately whispered in surprise. Chapter 2381. Yao Yonghao and Jitsung also found it strange. Back then, they were also in front of the divine palace and witnessed everything that was enough to shock the world. Now that they saw the woman in the void before them, they were secretly astonished. That beautiful woman actually looked very similar to the young man who called himself the Great Rock Emperor. It's Aunt Xiaojing. Aunt Xiaojing. When they saw the extraordinary woman, Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba were stunned for a moment before their faces lit up with joy. Boom! Boom! The space rippled again. From the right, 3 figures tore through the space and descended like lightning. The space rippled as the 3 figures appeared. 3 extremely powerful auras spread out from the sky, causing everyone's soul to tremble. In a short instant, 3 figures strangely appeared in the air, causing the entire area to tremble. The one in front of the 3 figures was a burly man in his 50s. He looked extremely young and had a somewhat wretched face no matter how one looked at it. However, there was a charm that was impossible to appear on such a wretched face. On the left was a young man in a blue and white robe. His figure was tall and straight, giving off the feeling of a ferocious beast. On the right was a black-robed young man with sharp eyes. His figure was slender, and his head was slightly lowered. His bangs covered his forehead and covered his eyes. Under everyone's gazes, the black-robed young man slowly raised his head. Under his bangs, his eyes were piercingly cold and sharp. He had a high-nosed bridge and thin lips that were filled with arrogance. His gaze fell on Du Xiaoyao, little Xingxing, and Du Xiaohuang, and he nodded slightly. When they saw the three figures appear again, Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba's faces, which were already filled with joy, were stunned. Then, they were filled with joy. "It's Uncle Qingchun. Uncle Yi Piaoling and Uncle Qiangu Yu." Du Xiaoba and Du Xiaohuang were overjoyed. The three people who came were Zhan Qingchun, the leader of the 18 Celestial Guards, Yi Piaoling and Qiangu Yu. They were the only two of the 18 Celestial Guards who had entered this fearsome ground. Zhan Qingchun nodded at Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing. His gaze swept across Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba, then swept across the surrounding creatures. His wretched face then turned cold. Boom! As the three figures appeared, the space rippled again. Two figures appeared. One was a middle-aged man, and the other was an old man. The middle-aged man's long hair fluttered in the wind, and his long robe fluttered in the wind. His entire body was wrapped in faint lightning. He had a resolute face, long eyebrows, and thick and long eyelashes, which softened his originally firm and powerful features. He was handsome and upright. "Grandpa." When the middle-aged man appeared, Du Xiaohuang was pleasantly surprised. She immediately pounced on him, and her tender voice echoed in the void. "Grandpa, father." Little Xingxing and Du Xiaojing stepped forward. Du Xiaoyao, Zhan Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, and Qiangu Yu nodded. This middle-aged man was none other than the Thunder Warlord, Du Tingxian. The old man was none other than Elder Lei, who had followed him into the danger zone. "This is really a big family. Oh my God, we've really provoked a family." When such figures descended, the surrounding living beings were shocked one after another. Then, they were completely dumbfounded. Who would have thought that this encirclement of a single supreme ant emperor would actually result in the appearance of a whole family? If the entire family of a young supreme ant emperor was already this frightening, how could the strength of this entire family be any weaker than the grandpa, auntie, and Uncle Lin Fan, Jitsong, Yao Yonghao, Shin Condor, and even blood-malevolent forefather had ripples in their eyes. The descending figures all had complicated auras, especially the golden-clothed young man, the little girl, the extraordinarily beautiful woman, and the tall, middle-aged man. They all felt that they were unfathomable. "Don't worry, Grandpa is here." Du Tingxian squatted down and stroked the little girl's face. His handsome face revealed a smile. "Is the whole family here?" Blood-malevolent forefather's face was gloomy. His blood aura fluctuated slowly as he glanced at little Xingxing, Du Tingxian, Zhan Qingchun, and the others. With his cultivation and strength, there were not many people in the entire Beast Alliance and the human race who could make him wary. Although he felt that something was amiss, he didn't pay much attention to it. "Xiaojing, little Yao, little Xingxing, you three deal with that old man. Leave the rest to us." Du Tingxian stood up and pulled Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba behind him. He glanced at the surroundings and swept his gaze across Blood Deer, Shin Condor, Yao Yonghao, Jitsong, and the others. His handsome face that had just revealed a smile was now filled with deep lightning and killing intent. However, his emotions remained the same, as firm as a rock. "No problem." Du Xiaoyao, little Xingxing, and Du Xiaojing nodded. Sensing the aura of blood-malevolent forefather, the three of them wore cold expressions and didn't dare to be careless. This strange humanoid creature in front of them was extraordinary. Du Tingxian nodded. His body was straight like a long spear, straight and fierce. When his calm voice faded, his eyes that were filled with killing intent gradually sharpened and began to fluctuate with lightning. Buzz! Yi Piaoling waved her arm and a long sword appeared in her hand. Her eyes began to emit a biting cold sharpness. Qiangu Yu's long robe fluttered. With a long spear in his hand, his aura surged like that of a ferocious beast. Zhen Qingxuan's body fluctuated with killing intent. On his wretched face, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Sensing the aura fluctuations from these figures, the surrounding experts were secretly shocked. Yao Yonghao, Jitsong, and the rest of the human clan experts were also secretly shocked. These mysterious newcomers seemed to have included them as well. They didn't even put the experts present in their eyes. Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaoba, you little bastards should know your mistakes. Just as the great battle was about to break out, a voice came from the depths of the void. The voice came from afar, as if it had seeped out from the void. As soon as this voice spread, little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, and Elder Lei all had strange smiles on their faces. As for Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba, they were subconsciously a little stunned, like children who had made a mistake. However, in the next instant, the most ecstatic expression surged onto their two young faces. Hearing this voice, the blood-malevolent patriarch's expression changed immediately. He didn't sense anyone approaching. Judging from the expression of the Ant Emperor, it seemed to be someone from his family. While everyone was shocked, a crack seemed to have been torn open in the void. A figure quietly stepped out of the crack. It was a young man who seemed to be in his late 20s. His long black hair fluttered in the wind. His face was resolute and determined. His figure was slightly thin but tall. There was no aura around him, but the appearance of this figure caused the surrounding void to tremble slightly for no reason. Father! Uncle Xiaofu! The young voices were filled with unconcealable ecstasy. Two small figures soared into the sky and rushed toward the purple-robed young man like lightning. Du Xiaohuang opened her arms and threw herself into the young man's embrace. At this moment, the purple-robed young man was Du Xiaofu, who came to the Skyflame Death Valley. After receiving news about Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba, he searched for them and finally arrived here. It's him, the Rock Emperor. How could it be him? He's really not dead. When Du Xiaofu appeared, the Ji family, Yao family, and many of the human race experts present suddenly looked at each other in shock. Yao Tianwu and Ji Qianqing's eyes trembled. Back then, in front of the holy shrine, a young man like that had shaken the entire human race. How could they forget his peerless demeanor and supreme bearing? It was imprinted in their hearts, impossible to forget. Little brat, why don't you listen? On Du Xiaofu's tensed face, he opened his arms and hugged the little figure when he saw it pouncing towards him. However, when he saw the little figure's tender yet deathly pale face and sensed the weak aura, he immediately swallowed his reprimanding words. The tensed expression on his face was instantly replaced by an incomparable heartache. Uncle Xiaofu. Du Xiaoba came to Du Xiaofu's side. He was not afraid of anything. Besides his master, Jialo Jueyu, the person in front of him was the person he was most afraid of. But this kind of fear was more of reverence. Are you okay? Du Xiaofu hugged Du Xiaohuang with one hand and wiped the traces of blood on the corner of Du Xiaoba's mouth with the other hand. He didn't blame him anymore, but was full of heartache. Uncle Xiaofu, I'm fine. Du Xiaoba smiled. Seeing that Du Xiaofu didn't blame him, he was relieved. Father, it's them. They bullied me and brother Xiaoba. If it wasn't for Uncle Xiaoyao, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to see your daughter again. Du Xiaohuang's gaze swept across Shuiwei ancestor, Xin Condor, and the others. She looked very wronged. Seeing Du Xiaoyao, little Xingxing, and Du Xiaojing, she was pleasantly surprised. But at this moment, in front of her father, she felt wronged, like a child who was bullied outside. She was about to cry. Father knows. Du Xiaofu wiped away the tears on that harmless face. At this moment, his heart was about to melt, and he felt incomparable heartache. It's really a family. That young man is the sovereign Ant Emperor's father. Everyone was stunned, unable to regain their senses, especially some experts of the human race. They knew Du Xiaofu, but at this moment, they were even more dumbfounded. The Rock Emperor was actually the sovereign Ant Emperor's father. This made them completely unable to understand. Father, brother, Xiaofu, little Xingxing, Du Xiaojing, Zhen Qingchun, and the others stepped forward. Greetings, Rock Emperor. Yi Piaoling and Qian Guyu bowed. Seeing the figures in front of him, Du Xiaofu's face burst into a smile again. Rock Emperor. He's the Rock Emperor. Chapter 2382. More and more people were dumbfounded. The name of the Rock Emperor had already spread throughout the human race and the Beast Alliance. It's him who left his name in the human race's sacred temple and suppressed many supremes. He killed Shi Hu of the Four-Winged Snake Clan, Luo Yi of the Ro Owl Clan, and severely injured Feng Jin of the distant Sky Flame Phoenix Clan. Rumor has it that he's already dead. It seems like he survived and didn't die. Voices of shock and astonishment could be heard from the surrounding living beings. Hearing such voices, the blood-malevolent patriarch's expression became increasingly gloomy. Luo Yu and Luo Yi were both his descendants, and they had died at the hands of this young man before him. Kid, you killed Luo Yu and Luo Yi? The blood-malevolent patriarch stared at Du Xiaofu, his gloomy face and gaze icy cold. Du Xiaofu smiled at Du Xiaohuang and put her down. Then, he turned around and looked at the blood-malevolent patriarch. The faint smile on his face gradually faded, and he ignored the blood-malevolent patriarch. His gaze swept across the surrounding living beings, and when he saw the people from the Yao and Ji clans, he only gave them an extra glance and did not linger on them. That old guy shouldn't be weak. Du Xiaojing came to Du Xiaofu's side. Her otherworldly face looked at Du Xiaofu, her ethereal eyes twinkling like stars. She did not pay too much attention to him. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. His figure slowly took a step forward, and the void beneath his feet rippled. He looked at the blood-malevolent patriarch again, and said to Du Xiaojing, "Indeed, he's not weak." Du Xiaojing also took a step forward. Her long green dress fluttered in the wind, and her hair danced. She was so otherworldly and arrogant, and had an invisible aura. At this moment, for some unknown reason, the space suddenly fell silent around the siblings. It was as if the entire space had quietly frozen for them. Looks like we've gained a lot today. Blood-malevolent ancestor's eyes were fixed on Du Xiaofu. Coldness gushed out from the depths of his eyes as he said, "Surrender? Or do you want me to take action?" The young man in front of him was the main culprit who had killed Yu and Di, so Ancestor Shuedi naturally had no intention of letting him go. However, this young man was a peerless paragon who had left his name on the holy temple. Ancestor Shuedi had no intention of killing him on the spot. A great battle is about to break out. Hearing Blood Deer Patriarch's words, the surrounding experts came back to their senses. With the appearance of the Rock Emperor and the death of Lu Yu and Lu Yi, both of whom were descendants of Blood Deer Patriarch, a great battle was unavoidable. "Dad, this old thing has some strength. But with Du Xiaoyao and us, we should be able to deal with him." Little Xingxing slowly stepped out, raised his head, and glanced at blood-malevolent patriarch. Du Xiaofu's gaze swept across blood-malevolent patriarch, then looked at Xin Condor, Yao Yonghao, Jizong, and the others. His expression was very calm. However, Du Xiaofu could easily sense the aura emitted from their bodies. The strongest person present was the old man from the Ro Owl clan, followed by an expert from the Gulen Heavenly Condor clan. There were also two experts at the peak of the intermediate Saint realm from the Yao clan and the Ji clan, whom he had met before the Holy Temple. As for the ancestor of the Ro Owl clan, Du Xiaofu reckoned that he was slightly stronger than the Lei Yang. He should be at the late stage of the Holy Beast realm and close to the peak of the late stage. It might be quite difficult to deal with him. While Du Xiaofu was sizing them up, Xin Condor's gaze landed on Du Xiaofu. Its aura fluctuated slightly as it flapped its wings, and a cold sneer appeared in its fierce eyes. "Boy, you'd better obediently surrender and follow us back to the Beast Alliance." Xin Condor flapped its wings, emitting a terrifying aura and releasing an invisible pressure. It knew that its cultivation was inferior to Ancestor Shuedi's, but at this time, it couldn't let Ancestor Shuedi monopolize the benefits. Du Xiaofu's gaze swept across Xin Condor, then shifted to the human race's lineup. His gaze then fixed on Yao Yonghao and Jizong. His expression was cold as he asked Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba behind him, "Did anyone from the human race attack you just now?" "Yes. None of them are good people." Du Xiaohuang pouted. Those who came later didn't attack, but they didn't have good intentions. Du Xiaoba said as he looked at Yao Yonghao and Ji Tsong. Yao family and Ji family can leave now. If you stay here, I won't be polite. Du Xiaofu said as he looked at the Yao family and Ji family members. Don't be too arrogant. You're still a human. Hand over the Phoenix True Egg, and we'll naturally help you deal with the Beast Alliance. A skinny old man behind Yao Yonghao gritted his teeth and said to Du Xiaofu from the Yao family. The Phoenix True Egg was a supreme treasure. Even if it was handed over to the sacred temple, the Yao family would still benefit greatly. If it was for the Phoenix True Egg, even if they had to deal with Ancestor Shuedi at this moment, the human race's numbers were not small. The people around that boy weren't simple either. Rock Emperor, Ancestor Shuedi, is an ancestor of the Ro Owl clan. His cultivation is close to the peak of the late-stage Saint Beast realm. If we join forces, we might be able to contend against the top experts of the human race. Ji Tsong said, his expression fluctuating. Didn't you hear me clearly? I'm still giving you face. Scram, or I won't be polite. Du Xiaofu looked straight at Ji Tsong. How could Du Xiaofu not know what the Ji and Yao families were thinking? They were after the Phoenix True Egg that was rumored to have fallen into Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba's hands. How could they be sincere in helping to deal with the Beast Alliance? Brat, you're too arrogant. The old man from the Yao family who had just spoken had an ugly expression. When they heard Du Xiaofu's impolite words, the experts from the Yao and Ji families had never been reprimanded in such a manner. Their expressions didn't look too good either. Even Yao Yonghao and Ji Tsong, who were sacred ancestors of the Yao and Ji families who could shake the world with a stomp of their feet, darkened their old faces. Du Xiaofu's calm expression gradually darkened as well. Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba were severely injured, and the Yao and Ji families were still plotting against them. If they didn't agree to hand over the Phoenix True Egg, they probably wouldn't lend a helping hand when the time came. Instead, they would wait to reap the benefits when the time came. I gave you a chance to scram, but you didn't want it. Du Xiaofu's gaze swept across the Yao and Ji families, then shook his head and said indifferently, Father, there's no need to be polite with these guys. Just kill them all for hurting Xiaohuang and Xiaoba. Little Star stared at the surrounding experts, the golden flames in his eyes incomparably demonic. You're really arrogant. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. The profound condor's ferocious eyes darkened, and the runes in its huge eyes became more and more dazzling. A ferocious smile flashed across its sharp mouth, and a majestic and ferocious aura swept out. The aura of a peak middle stage Saint Beast swept out in an instant, and the surrounding experts whose cultivation base wasn't high enough couldn't help but feel suffocated. Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed, and he quietly took a few steps away from Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba, a faint golden light shuttling back and forth in his eyes. Boom, boom. The void trembled, and the profound condor's huge body spread its wings to cover the sky, and its figure had already appeared in the void in front of Du Xiaofu. A powerful energy wind fluctuated, and it was as fast as lightning, instantly pouncing towards Du Xiaofu. The void trembled, and the heavens rumbled. It was obvious that the profound condor didn't hold back at all. Back then in the Beast Alliance, Feng Jin and Long Qi had suffered at the hands of that brat. Although the profound condor didn't see it with its own eyes that day, it had heard of it and knew that Feng Jin's strength wasn't much weaker than it, so it didn't dare to be careless. If it suppressed this brat, it could prevent the blood-malevolent patriarch from taking all the benefits and obtain an opportunity for the Ancient Wave Heavenly Condor clan. And it could also suppress the distant Sky Flame Phoenix clan, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. The profound condor has made its move. Will this Rock Emperor be its opponent? Boom. Although the profound condor's sudden attack was within everyone's expectations, it still shocked them. Chi. Its speed was too fast. The profound condor's huge body appeared in the void in front of Du Xiaofu. A terrifying aura and a sharp claw tore through the void, and a pitch-black spatial crack appeared above Du Xiaofu's head. At this moment, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Little Xingxing, and the others were all indifferent and didn't care at all. When such a sharp claw tore through the void and descended, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered with coldness. Suddenly, golden light surged in his eyes, sharp and terrifying. The golden light wrapped around his body, and a domineering and fierce aura swept out from his body in an instant. As he shook his arm, a fist wrapped in golden light directly blasted out. Roar! When this fist blasted out, the faint cry of a divine elephant and the roar of a dragon could be heard. The golden fist suddenly collided with the sharp claw, and an astonishing energy swept out. Rumble! This collision caused an explosion in a flash of lightning. The terrifying chi waves and runes stirred up the surrounding space like stormy waves. Thump! Thump! In front of everyone's eyes, as the explosion spread, the Xian condor's enormous body, which was like a cloud that covered the sky, was continuously forced back in the empty space. Both of its eyes were filled with shock. Under the sharp claws, it crumbled inch by inch and directly turned into a bloody fog. Fresh blood was spat out from its mouth. At this moment, Yao Yunghao, Jitsong, and even the blood deer ancestor were moved. Everyone's expression changed greatly. Du Xiaofu's body was as steady as a rock in the void, and he didn't even sway. Looking at the profound condor that was blasted back, his eyes surged with coldness. A mighty and domineering aura spread out, dazzling the golden light. His feet used the wave treading free step, and like a ghost, he instantly chased after the profound condor. Gee! The sudden change shocked the profound condor, but it was still a peak middle stage saint beast, and an expert of the Gulen heavenly condor clan. It was definitely not weak. In a panic, it saw Du Xiaofu's figure sweeping over, and the light in its huge eyes shot out to the extreme. The aura on its body was astonishing, and the cloud-like wings on its back flapped across the sky, distorting the void. Accompanied by a monstrous aura, it tore through the space like a bolt of lightning and flapped towards Du Xiaofu's figure. Chapter 2383. Sky-shaking wings. Boom! Du Xiaofu continued to advance instead of retreating. He raised his hand and flicked his sleeve, causing a strand of overbearing golden light to appear. It seemed to have transformed into a pair of golden wings, and it swept out like a dazzling sun. In the sky, it was as if two wings had collided. Immediately, the crisp sound of metal clashing could be heard. In that instant, sparks flew like fireworks. Behind the brilliance was destruction. At that moment, if an ordinary initial saint stage cultivator were to be affected, they would be directly smashed to pieces. When the two wings collided, a miserable shriek came from the black condor's sharp mouth. The feathers on the giant wings were shattered and fresh blood spurted out. Star-shattering fist. In the blink of an eye, Du Xiaofu's figure had already appeared in front of the black condor's bloody giant wings. His hand seals were already formed at lightning speed. The profound energy in his body poured out like a torrential flood. It followed the hand seals and instantly formed a fist. A powerful energy pressure spread out from it. In a flash, it ruthlessly landed on the black condor's wings that it couldn't retract in time. The black condor's expression changed drastically. It seemed to have sensed something. It was already too late when it quickly retreated. Therefore, under everyone's gazes, the fist crashed into the black condor's wings. A voice filled with shocking energy suddenly resounded in the sky. Bang! This kind of shocking collision of energy caused the air waves to soar into the sky. The runes on the wings of the mysterious condor only lasted for a moment before they were destroyed. Then, the huge wings exploded like a rain of blood. The terrifying rune energy ripples in the surroundings swept out like a stormy sea. Then, under countless horrified gazes, the black condor let out a miserable shriek. Its body, with its broken wings, suddenly shot out as it retreated. The black condor is seriously injured. It's only been 2 moves. How can the Rock Emperor be so powerful? Is he even human? Impossible. How can a puny human have a body stronger than the ancient wave heavenly condor? The Rock Emperor lives up to his name. He's so terrifying. The experts in the surroundings were horrified. The majestic Xian condor was only a step away from the Saint Beast late stage, but it was actually heavily injured in 2 moves. They couldn't help but exclaim in shock. their hearts trembling in fear. He seems to be even stronger. Jitsong and Yao editor, Chrissy the of Rock Emperor's voice. They were shocked by Du Xiaofu's strength. Compared in the sacred temple, the Rock Emperors, the president of Yi Piaoling and Xingu Yu were also shocked, but they weren't surprised. This was the World Society's president's style and strength. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. Like a shadow, he chased after the black condor at lightning speed. The Xin condor was knocked back, blood dripping from its body. Its winged body almost fell to the ground. Looking at Du Xiaofu, who was chasing after it, its fierce eyes turned dark and gloomy as it stared at Du Xiaofu. Coldness shot out from its eyes, and a mighty pressure spread out, causing all the monsters in the surroundings to tremble. The humanoid spirits all prostrated themselves and trembled. Screech, immediately, from the back of the condor's enormous body, bright symbols and mysterious runes swept out without reservation. They spread like a storm, forming an ocean in the sky. In the end, they turned into an ancient wave, heavenly condor that covered the sky. The trump card of the ancient wave, heavenly condor clan, Sky Condor strikes the sky. When such an aura appeared, everyone's eyes trembled. This was the trump card of the ancient wave, heavenly condor clan. It was said that the ancestor of the ancient wave, heavenly condor clan was famous during the era of the dragon, phoenix, and Qilin races. With this trump card, he was able to make the dragon, phoenix, and Qilin races yield to him. The gigantic phantom of the ancient wave, heavenly condor, was several thousand feet tall. Its wings covered the entire sky, and its ferocious eyes were filled with a blazing light that was as deep as a black hole. Runes erupted from its body, causing one's spirit to tremble and their hair to stand on end. Screech. A screech resounded in all directions, and the sound waves were enough to cause people's hearts to jump. The ancient wave, heavenly condor's body soared through the sky, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. It was like a waterfall that connected the heavens and the earth, and it directly pressed down on Du Xiaofu. With such power, the space in its path crumbled inch by inch, destroying everything. Wong. Du Xiaofu still didn't retreat. With a wave of his hand, a purple gold light filled the sky, and the sound of wind and thunder resounded. The purple gold heavenly tower was tightly grasped in Du Xiaofu's hand. The sword's arc was natural, and it had the bones of a tiger and the body of a dragon. It was like a phoenix facing the sun, and it was like a divine turtle crouching in the sky. Indistinctly, there were the phantoms of an azure dragon, a white tiger, a phoenix, and a black tortoise circling around. Swish! In a flash, the purple gold heavenly tower was swung out from Du Xiaofu's hand. It was as if it could split a mountain, and there was nothing fancy about it. The sword swept across the sky, and wherever the purple gold sword light passed, the space directly collapsed, revealing the traces of a vacuum. Boom! Boom! An overbearing pressure that sent chills down one's spine radiated from the purple gold sword glow, causing the entire space to violently tremble. A terrifying sword intent also swept across the heavens. The overbearing sword aura caused one's hair to stand on end. At this moment, as if they had sensed something, Ji Tsong and Yao Yonghao's eyes trembled as if they had been electrocuted, and their bodies began to tremble. What a terrifying sword intent! It's strong. Boom! Yao Tianwu was also trembling. He was also proficient in the way of the sword, and he knew how terrifying that sword intent was. Everything happened as fast as lightning. The purple gold sword light shattered the space and directly collided with the gigantic phantom of the ancient wave, heavenly condor. The phantom of the ancient wave, heavenly condor crushed the space, and its aura blotted out the sky, as if it wanted to shatter the universe. The purple gold sword light shattered the space, and there wasn't much of a sound of energy. Only the runic energy rippled out from the terrifying sword light, and it swept across the surrounding space like a tsunami. Swish! However, everything was just so strange. Everyone watched in shock as the purple gold sword ray sliced through the terrifying ancient wave, heavenly condor's shadow like a hot knife through butter. Screech! A sorrowful cry rang out from the sky. The ancient wave heavenly condor roared, and its eyes were filled with shock. Who would have thought that this brat in front of it would be so powerful? After destroying the phantom with a single sword strike, Du Xiaofu didn't stop. He appeared in front of the ancient wave heavenly condor again, and golden light burst out from his body. At the same time, he waved his left hand, and his 5 fingers curved. Golden runes flickered on his fingertips, and a claw appeared from his hand. Boom, boom. As the claw appeared, golden light burst out, and it was as if it wanted to tear the space apart. Dazzling runes wreaked havoc like golden lightning, and it was as if a golden-winged rock was about to spread its wings and soar into the sky. At this moment, an incomparably domineering aura exploded from Du Xiaofu's body. This kind of domineering and fierce aura could only exist in the bodies of demonic beast sovereigns. Is this rock emperor a demonic beast or a human? Under such a claw, the surrounding experts couldn't help but tremble in fear. It was as if they were facing a sovereign, and their souls and bloodlines were trembling at the same time. Rock chaos crushing claw. Boom. Golden light burst out from the claw like countless golden lightning snakes. Du Xiaofu carried the will of the golden-winged rock in an incomparably domineering manner. It was as if a real golden-winged rock had descended, and it fiercely clawed at the ancient wave heavenly condor. Screech. Roar. The ancient wave heavenly condor roared, and its expression was sinister and vicious. It burned its own blood essence, and in an instant, its withered aura recovered and surged. The space around its body suddenly burst open, and it tried to resist the claw. Rock descends to the 9th heaven. Boom. Killing intent and cold light surged in Du Xiaofu's eyes. It was also at this moment that golden light shot out from his back and shattered space. A strand of overbearing, fierce, and terrifying aura suddenly erupted from his body like a torrent. In the next moment, the golden wings of the rock behind Du Xiaofu spread open, and golden light soared into the sky. The golden talisman was dazzling, and the bright golden light soared into the sky like a rising sun. It was as if a golden-winged rock was about to fly out from it. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body seemed to have transformed into a real golden-winged rock. Boom, boom. A domineering and fierce aura swept out from Du Xiaofu's body. It flapped its wings, and a majestic light filled the air, sweeping across the sky. Roar, roar. At this moment, all the beasts in the surroundings roared incessantly, and all of them trembled in fear. The aura of the golden-winged rock was like a rock descending to the 9 heavens, and it caused a large number of demonic beasts in the surroundings to crawl in fear. At this moment, Du Xiaofu carried the domineering will of the golden-winged rock clan. It was as if a real golden-winged rock had descended, as if a golden sun had descended. Rumble. Boom. The golden talisman turned into a vast ocean that rose, and along with the domineering and terrifying supreme divine aura, it directly crushed the ancient wave heavenly condor. The surrounding space trembled, and energy surged in all directions. The power swept out in all directions, and the surrounding space collapsed, revealing a large area of the void. Crack, crack, wind and clouds surged in this ominous land, and a terrifying aura spread out, tearing countless cracks in the ground. It was incomparably terrifying, as if doomsday had arrived. The radiance on the ancient wave, heavenly condor's body was completely obliterated and dimmed. As soon as Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the golden light rushed out, bringing along 5 cracks in the void. It was like 5 sharp blades that tore the ancient wave, heavenly condor's body apart. At this moment, the ancient wave, heavenly condor was completely terrified. This human had reached a level that it had never imagined. Death was crawling in the depths of its soul, and its survival instincts surged out. It finally opened its mouth and cried for help. "Lord Blood Mantis, save me, save me." Its mournful voice pierced through the clouds and cracked the stones, reverberating in the void. "You're stronger than I imagined. No wonder you can leave your name in the sacred hall." Blood Mantis ancestor moved. He did not care about the ancient wave heavenly condor, but if he watched the ancient wave heavenly condor being killed, It would be difficult to explain in front of the ancient wave, heavenly condor clan. As soon as his gloomy voice fell, a bloody light surged, and his figure pounced out with a bloody light ribbon in his hand. Old thing, it's not your turn yet. Little Xingxing's figure flashed across the sky, arriving in a strange manner. His eyes were blazing with golden flames, and his little jade-like fist was covered in golden flames. As soon as his voice echoed, a fist wrapped in golden flames directly smashed towards the bloody light ribbon. Instantly, golden flames erupted. Chapter 2384. Translator. H2 to Mr. Boom. Boom. At the same time, the space suddenly trembled. At this moment, the mountains around the square also rumbled, and the ground trembled. Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaojing arrived at the same time and attacked at the same time. Du Xiaoyao raised his arm and punched out, connecting with the energy of heaven and earth. A terrifying might spread out, and his fist was like a rainbow. Golden talisman runes filled the sky, suppressing and crushing all things in the world. Du Xiaojing shook her wrist and sent out a palm imprint that contained a powerful force. Purple lightning filled the sky and a murderous aura. Bang, bang, bang. The three of them blocked the blood-malevolent patriarch and collided with him. That astonishing aura surged out like a landslide. Countless cracks spread out like a spider web on the ground. Resplendent runic brilliance erupted in the void. Under this kind of collision, the surrounding sky and earth trembled and exploded. When the living beings in the surroundings saw this scene, all of them were terrified, and their gazes trembled with shock. The blood-malevolent patriarch was blocked and his body swayed. His eyes were filled with shock again. The three figures staggered a few steps back. They were Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and Du Xiaojing. Qila. At the same time, golden light filled the sky. The black condor's huge body was torn apart and turned into a rain of blood. Its beast soul was also torn apart, and it couldn't be more dead. An ancient wave heavenly condor that was close to breaking through to the late-stage ancient wave, heavenly condor was killed just like that, shocking everyone present. The remaining experts of the Gulen heavenly condor clan were all trembling in fear. The blood-malevolent patriarch's eyes darkened. It wasn't because the black condor was killed. The black condor's death had nothing to do with him. After all, he had already attacked and couldn't save it. If the Gulen heavenly condor clan asked about it in the future, it would have nothing to do with him. However, the black condor couldn't even withstand a single blow from that brat. The blood-malevolent patriarch was secretly moved. These juniors were not simple. Perhaps today was going to be more troublesome. Du Xiaofu had intentionally killed the mysterious condor. He had killed a saint beast at the peak of the middle stage of the saint beast realm with lightning speed. It could be said that he had gotten rid of a great threat. With the purple gold heavenly tower in hand, Du Xiaofu scanned the surrounding living beings again. His gaze swept past the Ji family and Yao family indifferently as he said softly, "I've given you a chance, so you'll have to bear the consequences." Qila. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, a ray of light shot out from between his eyebrows. An exit appeared in the ancient desolate space. Many people looked on in surprise as a number of figures rushed out from it. Boom, boom, boom. Several ferocious chi waves swept out. The black ape, the earth wolf, the ice toad, the ardent eagle, and the flying fish all came out of the desolate ancient space. Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu also walked out and looked around. They saw Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaojing, Jin Qingchun, and the others. They also saw Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba, so they roughly understood the situation. The earth wolf, the black ape. The surrounding experts recognized the earth wolf, the black ape, and the others. Their expressions changed. It seemed that the earth wolf, the black ape, and the others were walking together with the rock emperor. Yao Yunghao and Ji Tsang's expressions changed as they looked at each other. The earth wolf was not inferior to them and was on par with the black condor. It was a terrifying existence. Kill. Leave no one alive. Kill. The purple gold heavenly tower in Du Xiaofu's hand trembled, emitting the sound of wind and thunder. Waves of golden chi waves spread out from his body. Suddenly, The surroundings were filled with dazzling golden light. Kill! Kill! In an instant, Yi Piaoling and Qian Guyu took the lead from behind Du Xiaofu. Their chi was at the early Saint Realm without holding back. They had stepped into the Saint Realm. Boom! The Earth Wolf, the Black Ape, the Flying Fish, and the others followed closely behind. They soared into the sky and pounced on the surroundings. Boom! Kill! Jin Qingchun didn't say anything. He directly activated the 6-wheel blood kill array, and the murderous aura spread out. Elder Lei didn't hold back either. The power of thunder and lightning swept out in all directions, filling the void. Kill! Kill! Instantly, Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, Jin Qingchun, and the others stepped out and pounced on the living beings around them. They didn't care whether they were humans or Beast Alliance members. They just started killing. Boom! Their auras soared into the sky, shaking the 9 heavens. Oh no! The surrounding creatures' expressions changed. They didn't think that the Rock Emperor would dare to attack the Yao family, the Ji family, and the Beast Alliance at the same time. Rock Emperor, don't go too far. Set up the array and kill. Kill! Jitsong shouted in a low voice. As his voice fell, the experts of the Ji family behind him had cold and solemn expressions. They all flew out together in mysterious positions. The profound chi in their bodies surged and the runes shone brightly. They quickly formed a vast space in the air that could shatter all things. Set up the array. Yes. Yao Yonghao was also shocked. The experts of the Yao family behind him also quickly gathered. Their auras swept out, forming a terrifying array that contained the secret arts of the Yao family. Its aura was vast and mighty. Let's fight with them. We have so many experts. Can't we kill them? The Phoenix True Egg will belong to whoever kills them. There were early-stage saint beasts among the Gulen heavenly condors. After the initial shock, their eyes became fierce, and they provoked everyone. Huge Gulen heavenly condors soared into the sky behind them. They shone brightly and screeched endlessly. They pounced out, causing the void to tremble. Fight with them for the Phoenix True Egg. Yes. Some of the saints present turned their eyes. Their auras surged and covered the sky. Fight for the Phoenix True Egg. This is a great opportunity. Yes. Some demonic beast experts transformed into their true forms. Their voices were like thunder, and their auras caused the mountains to surge and the earth to rumble. Oh woo! In an instant, wind and clouds surged above the void. Countless demonic beasts' true forms and meridian souls appeared, and saint weapons filled the sky. Rumble. In a short moment, the two sides clashed. Yi Piaoling and Qian Guyu were killing gods. Jin Qingchun was never easy to deal with. Di Lang, Zhong Yuan, and the others were all independent cultivators. They had never been soft-hearted people to have reached their current cultivation. Every move they made was a killing move. Their attacks carried the power of destruction and fiercely charged towards each other in all directions. The space in their path exploded. The 6-wheel blood-killing array surged and surged, devouring everything. Qinggu Yu's spear light pierced through the void. It was even more ferocious than the beasts. Yi Piaoling descended like a killing god. Her sword light shattered everything. Di Lang, Zhong Yuan, and the others transformed into their true forms at the same time. Their vast power swept out and shattered everything. Ouyang Shuang and Dai Xingyu also attacked. Their figures were beautiful, but their power was incomparably fierce. All of these collided together, causing the entire void to shatter one after another. In an instant, the battle had broken out. All the attacks swept out, and the energy ripples shattered the void. However, the Human Clan and the Beast Alliance had more people. Although Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, and Jun Qingchun had stepped into the Saint Realm, the Human Clan and the Beast Alliance had many Saint Realm cultivators. There were 7 or 8 of them at the beginning. After the Yao Clan, the Ji Clan, and the Gulen Heavenly Condor Clan arrived, there were more than 20 Saint Realm cultivators. Moreover, there were experts like Yao Yonghao and Jitsong. Therefore, Yi Piaoling, Jun Qingchun, Di Lang, and the others did not have the upper hand. Leave this old man to me, little Xingxing and little Yao. Du Xiaofu said to Du Tingxian and Du Xiaojing. He looked around and finally fixed his eyes on the blood-malevolent patriarch. Okay, As soon as Du Tingshuan's voice fell, he had already soared into the sky. As the void rippled, his figure turned into lightning. His body was immediately surrounded by endless thunder and lightning. The thunder martial vein was directly activated. He did not hold back the aura of the middle stage saint realm. Rumble. Suddenly, the unparalleled power of thunder and lightning turned into a sea of thunder. Electric arcs filled the sky, covering all directions and sweeping across the firmament. Rumble. Almost at the same time, Du Xiaojing's beautiful figure soared into the sky. On the surface of her beautiful body, there were purple thunder and lightning runes surging. Her hair danced like purple electric arcs. Purple thunder and lightning suddenly surged out from the surface of her body. Along with the blazing thunder and lightning, it was like a rising purple sun. Dazzling thunder and lightning runes surged out in all directions, covering the void. Suddenly, electric arcs overflowed from the void, and thunderclouds covered the sky. In an instant, the experts in the surrounding were all frightened. Their spiritual souls could not help but tremble, and they could not help but feel fear. Kill! Kill! Du Xiaojing opened her mouth. Her voice was piercingly cold, and the eyes on her beautiful face burst out with blazing purple thunder and lightning. Above the void, there was a huge vortex of thunderclouds and electric arcs rotating. Terrifying thunder and lightning filled the sky, and countless thunderbolts pierced through the space. The murderous aura spread out. It was not austere, but had the power of creation. It showed the righteousness of heaven and earth, and was vast and mighty in the firmament. This kind of pressure spread out. Just looking at the spreading thunder and lightning made people's hair stand on end, and their hair stand on end. Sizzle! Purple electric arcs filled the sky, and the space exploded and overturned. Thunder and lightning burst out in an instant. This was the power of the thunder martial vein that Du Xiaojing activated. Along with the natural holy sovereign pressure, the aura of the middle stage, Saint Realm, swept out from her body without reservation. Bang! 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 Suddenly, Du Tingxian and Du Xiaojing stepped into the air and connected. They activated their thunder martial veins together. With the father and daughter as the center, thunder and lightning fell, and first swept toward Jitsong, Yao Yonghao, and the other saints. Some of the creatures below the saint realm were affected, and their bodies directly exploded. They could not resist at all. Oh no! Shit! Looking at the middle-aged thunder god and the woman in the void, Jitsong and Yao Yonghao turned pale with fright, and their spiritual souls trembled. They were all experts at the peak of the middle stage saint realm, but at this moment, looking at the woman and the middle-aged man, they were directly overwhelmed with fear. They even began to have goosebumps. Rumble. With Du Tingxian and Du Xiaojing as the center, thunder and lightning flashed, and the murderous aura was majestic. Purple thunderclouds and electric arcs soared into the sky, and the energy of heaven and earth in this area began to fluctuate violently. Chapter 2385. Du Xiaojing stood in the void like a dazzling sun that blotted out the sky. Purple arcs of lightning shuttled back and forth in front of everyone. Kill! Kill! Du Xiaojing raised his hand, and tens of thousands of purple electric arcs condensed into electric arcs that covered the sky and earth. They descended from the sky, vast and mighty. Bang! 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 The purple thunderbolts exploded in the void, and the figures in the surroundings exploded one after another. Some huge demon beasts were struck by the thunderbolts and turned into a bloody mist. Even several cultivators of the initial stage of the Sage Realm couldn't escape from such a dreadful thunderbolt. Du Tingxian formed a seal with his hand. With him as the center, the purple lightning condensed into a huge purple lightning. It was dazzling, as if a lightning dragon was born. Above these purple thunderbolts that were like thunder dragons, the lightning was resplendent, thunder rumbled, and electric arcs erupted. They fell and rushed out, causing the void to boil and the heavenly sound to rumble. That destructive power made people's hearts palpitate and their souls tremble. Help! Help me! Bang! 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 Blood-curdling screams and howls of grief rang out as the void exploded one after another. Even the experts of the initial stage of the Sage Realm couldn't hold on for long as these purple thunderbolts passed by. Auwell! The void shattered. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Mournful roars echoed in the void. Ah, run, run. The surroundings were in utter chaos as miserable shrieks and wails rang out incessantly. At this moment, the living beings in the surroundings finally knew what kind of family they had provoked. Each of them was more terrifying than the last. Regardless of gender or age, all of them were like death gods. All of them were malefic stars. Some people wanted to run, but under the suppression of this terrifying family, they couldn't escape at all. Rock Emperor, let's talk things over. Let's just retreat. Retreat. Jitsung was scared. The light on his body covered the sky, and the terrifying power distorted the surrounding void. He helped protect the people around him from being killed by the lightning. But it was useless. He couldn't even protect himself. Rock Emperor, my Yao family is willing to leave. Yao Yonghao was also scared. He shouted and used all his strength. His eyes were filled with stormy waves. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? Du Xiaojing didn't speak calmly. Above the void around her graceful figure, thunder resounded like the sound of the heavens, shocking the world with its shocking might. At this moment, Du Xiaojing was like a goddess. Monstrous electric arcs swept across the sky. Her purple sun-like eyes shot straight into the vast sky. Terrifying heavenly might shook the sky. Heavenly might rolled, and the momentum of heaven and earth gathered. Her attacks were focused on Yao Yonghao and Jitsong. Rumble. The surrounding heaven and earth trembled and rumbled. The ground collapsed, and strange phenomena appeared. This aura was too terrifying, causing the entire space to tremble. It seems that he has just stepped into the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm. How can he be so strong? Jitsong's complexion changed drastically. He could sense that this fairy-like woman had clearly stepped into the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm not long ago. However, her aura was too dreadful. Her fighting strength was as abnormal as that mysterious Rock Emperor. She was able to suppress him and Yao Yonghao, who were both at the peak of the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm. This aura might be that of the legendary innate Holy Sovereign. Yao Yonghao couldn't help but exclaim. He could feel the aura of an innate Holy Sovereign. That was a legend. If this fairy-like woman was an innate Holy Sovereign, then she must be a peerless supreme. Go all out, or none of you will be able to leave today. Jitsong's voice reached Yao Yonghao's ears. That terrifying family didn't seem to have any intention of letting them go. If they didn't go all out today, then the people of Ji family and Yao family would be wiped out. It should be known that whether it was Yao Tianwu or Ji Qianqing, both of them were the future of the two families. No accident could happen to them. Suddenly, Jitsong's eyes abruptly changed before he could finish his sentence. A lightning figure had strangely appeared beside him, accompanied by a lightning energy fluctuation that caused his heart to palpitate. This lightning energy fluctuation was too terrifying. It could kill in all directions, making Jitsong's hair stand on end. Jitsong's expression changed drastically. He saw that the lightning middle-aged man was approaching him. The lightning spear in his hands was emitting a dazzling golden and silver radiance, and a dreadful destructive power was spreading out from it. Rumble, rumble. Du Tingxian rushed forward, the lightning spear in his hand tearing through space. This spear pierced through the void, causing the ground below to tremble and explode. Cracks continuously appeared. Rocks were turned into dust, shattered rocks shot out, and mountain peaks collapsed. Such terrifying power, so valiant. Bang, bang. Jitsong's expression changed. He went all out, and their palms collided. However, he was forced back a few steps. Swish, swish. At the same time, Du Xiaojing's beautiful figure appeared in front of Yao Yonghao. She slashed out a lightning-condensed sword light that contained sword intent. Rock Emperor, do you really want to kill us all? Bang! Yao Yonghao shouted. At the same time, he erupted with all his strength. His aura shook the sky, and a rune energy beam distorted the space, blocking Du Xiaojing's lightning sword light. But soon, the rune energy beam was cut into pieces. Thump, thump. Yao Yonghao's figure staggered back, and his expression changed drastically. The battle had broken out, and the whole family was on a killing spree. Du Xiaoba and Du Xiaohuang had joined the battle once again. However, there were still 4 figures who had yet to make a move. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing were staring at the blood-malevolent patriarch as if the battle around them had nothing to do with them. In fact, Du Xiaofu wasn't worried at all. His drunkard father and sister Xiaojing had reached the middle stage of the Saint Realm. Brother Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, and Qiangu Yu had reached the early stage of the Saint Realm. There was also Dilang, Fei Yu, and Zhong Yuan. They were enough to deal with the rest. Only the blood-malevolent patriarch of the Ro Owl clan was a real opponent. The blood-malevolent patriarch's expression changed as he observed the battle around him. His expression grew darker and darker. However, the deaths of the Beast Alliance experts around him didn't seem to have anything to do with him. He didn't pay much attention to them. After all, none of them were disciples of the Ro Owl clan. Father, it's this old man's turn. Little Xingxing stood beside Du Xiaofu and looked at the blood-malevolent patriarch. Golden flames flickered in his bewitching eyes. This old man isn't simple, Du Xiaofu said to Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing. Golden light flickered in his eyes. Du Xiaofu had a feeling that the blood-malevolent patriarch's aura was stronger than the Lei Yang. The blood-malevolent patriarch moved. He looked at Du Xiaofu, little Xingxing, and Du Xiaoyao with a cold expression. He slowly raised his head and said indifferently, very good, very good. Things are getting more and more interesting. Old man, you're pretending to be profound. Du Xiaoyao raised her eyebrows and looked at the blood-malevolent patriarch. Her lips curved into a mocking smile as she said coldly, it'll be very interesting to deal with you later, old man. Saint Demon Realm, you're actually a monster. Your sharp tongue won't save your life. You'll be of great use in my hands. Hearing Du Xiaoyao's words, the blood-malevolent patriarch's face couldn't help but reveal a sinister and ugly expression. Old man, you want to try? Du Xiaoyao said coldly. You overestimate yourself. Then I'll finish you off together. The blood-malevolent patriarch's face was gloomy. He stomped on the air and the wings on his back flapped. His body leaped out directly. His blood-red hair fluttered slightly and his eyes were gloomy. He waved his hand and a blood-red light filled the sky. A blood-red energy pillar swept towards Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and little Xingxing. Humph! Du Xiaoyao snorted and punched out. A misty aura swept out and the void exploded. Below, mountains crashed and boulders fell. Old man, come on. Little Xingxing's tiny figure also pounced at the same time. His tiny fist punched out like a golden flame dragon. Mysterious runes covered the dragon's scales like golden flames. Boom! Suddenly, the fist collided with the former, causing the entire void to shatter. Energy ripples spread out along with the blood-red light. Ding ding! In the terrifying blood-red light, Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing were directly blasted back. The blood-malevolent patriarch's figure only swayed slightly and took a step back. However, his eyes were filled with doubt and shock. One of them was at the intermediate stage of the Saint Demon Realm, and the other was at the intermediate stage of the Saint Beast Realm. How could they be so powerful? He didn't hold back just now. It was enough to kill an ordinary expert at the peak of the intermediate stage of the Saint Realm. However, the two of them didn't seem to be affected at all. You do have some skills, the blood-malevolent patriarch said faintly. As his voice fell, blood runes swept out in all directions like a tsunami. The space trembled, the void rumbled, and the blood aura surged. I don't want to waste time with you. As his voice fell, the blood aura surged in the sky. The terrifying flesh wings on the blood-malevolent patriarch's back burst out, shattering the void. The blood aura that filled the sky formed a sea of blood that flooded towards little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, and Du Xiaofu. Old man, I'm not afraid of you. Cold. Little Xingxing shouted coldly. His eyes were filled with golden flames and burst out with dazzling golden light. His body expanded and turned into a huge dragon that coiled in the sky. He spread his wings like a phoenix's wings, spreading blazing red and purple flames. Starlight flowed on the surface of his body. The aura of the golden-winged rock and a terrifying supreme aura swept across the sky. Roar. The dragon's roar resounded through the 9 heavens. When little Xingxing transformed into his true form, the demon beasts and human race experts who were fleeing in panic, including Jitsong and Yao Yonghao, who were fighting Du Tingxian and Du Xiaojing, trembled for no reason. The demon beasts' bodies went limp. Suppress you, old man. Roar. Little Xingxing's true form soared into the sky. His golden dragon eyes were filled with golden flames, as if they contained 2 vast golden seas of fire. A terrifying and strange pressure descended from his true form. 6 updates in a row. Today's update is complete.